Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. I am Nanatifo Boateng. Many thanks to you for choosing us this hour. Please stay with us throughout the entire program as we have a lot programmed up for you this morning. Now, it's that time of the year again where thousands of school children, now we call them candidates, get to sit for the basic education certificate examination. And while this exam marks a critical milestone in the lives of these candidates because they get to transition from junior high school to senior high school, I, for one, I am not a fan of the BECE thing. Ask me why, because I do not believe education should cut off at that level just because you didn't have good grades. And it's for this reason why I supported the free SHS, because education is continued. Life itself is a perpetual teacher, isn't it? So that's how it's supposed to be. And so these children, especially in Ghana, over 600,000 of them will be sitting for this exam. But the real test, okay, the real test here is a test of character. A test of character of WAEC officials themselves, a test of character of invigilators, a test of character of school heads, a test of character of teachers, a test of character of parents, and a test of character of the students themselves. Now, I'll explain this because, you see, at this point, greedy or the inordinate love for money will have WAEC officials, some of them allegedly, looking for ways to profit off the exam. And so we'll be offering all kinds of promises to school heads, teachers, students, and their parents. Okay? And this is where the malpractice stems from. Now, for school heads and teachers who want their schools to be better placed in terms of results and grading, will also want to engage in some of these malpractices. And so there's a test of character on their part as well. For parents who want their wards to pass and pass with flying colors, most of them are usually scammed, actually, because they get people making all sorts of promises to them. The ability to change grades after they are given out by WAEC, ability to change scores on the exam sheets and all. Most of these parents actually are scammed, but the disgrace that comes with it, they are unable to tell you. You get it? And for the students themselves who want to transition to the senior high level and are not willing and disciplined enough to burn the midnight candle, they are becoming overly sophisticated in their eagerness to cheat. And so that is where the true test is, a test of character. It's about time we instill discipline, values, and I believe that these are best taught to children, okay? You don't wait for a person to grow before you come and teach them values and discipline. It will be difficult for them to abide by saying. But you teach it at the basic level, and then they grow with it, and they are able to exhibit same. So the true test is a test of character, even though students are sitting for an examination. All right. Already, we've had reports of some 3 invigilators arrested by WAEC for engaging in some examination-related offenses. We're going to have more. There was drama in the Ashanti region somewhere. We understand a pregnant candidate gave birth at one of the centers. There's going to be a lot more. But I'm saying that the true test for this examination is a test of character. And we're calling on all these persons that I have mentioned and all other stakeholders to rise above this tide and let us know the true integrity. Let's protect the true integrity of the examination, which is expected to evaluate what has been taught at that level and preparedness for a higher level. So let's think about this and let's ensure that really our students or our candidates are given the best of. You see, the thing you need to make the students understand is that it is their future that is at stake here, and not that of the WAEC official, not the invigilator, not the teacher, not the school head, not even the parents. It is the future of the student who is writing this exam that is at stake. So let's uphold the integrity of the exam, ensure that students sit through this exam, abiding by the rules and regulations of the exam. All right, let me tell you about the Agri Fair. Agri Fair 2025 is brought to you by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3, and it's basically a sale and exhibition of fresh farm produce. Okay, So if you're a farmer with fresh farm produce, if you're a farmer with poultry products, if you're a farmer with livestock products, if you're a farmer, you're dealing in grains, cereals, tubers, vegetables, fruits, you name it. If you have agri input, agri products, name it. We're providing you a platform to exhibit and sell same. And so we're bridging the gap between the farm and of course the kitchen or the table. So we say from farm to table, supporting local, feeding the nation. So come and join us on the 20th throughout the weekend up until the 22nd of June, and let's show you the good works of our farmers, the sacrifices that they make and the fruits that are born out of these sacrifices. They're going to display some of the freshest farm produce you could ever come across at the Efua Sutherland Children's Park during the Agri Fair. So please come with your wallets loaded and of course your purses, and then when you get there you have the opportunity to shop. So consider it a market day. Say you're going to the market, but this time you're not going to your traditional market, because everything is going to be available at the Efua Sutherland Children's Park. If it's krokro, no krokro, take you that you're looking for, come. You find some there. There's going to be rabbits as well. You'll find some there. So please come. But if you're looking to participate, we beg of you, the time to call is now. Call now before that ship sets sail. Okay? We're fast running out of slots. So if you want to participate, please call 0205 973 973. 0205 973 973. Call us now, register, and be a part of the Agri Fair. I want to say thank you to our sponsors. That's the Ghana Exim Bank. Yes, Ghana Exim Bank. We have Legacy Crop Improvement Center, LCIC. We have the Development Bank Ghana. We have Agri Impact Group. And of course, our technology partners, Farmer Line, also there. And then the Horticulture Business Platform. I want to say thank you to all these groups, organizations, institutions for supporting the Agri Fair. And we hope to see you, okay? From the 20th to the 22nd of June. There's going to be kebab as well. So you're going to have beef kebab, mutton kebab, chicken kebab, pork kebab, rabbit kebab, just name it. Just show up at the Efua Sutherland Children's Park from the 20th to the 22nd of June. If you're looking to participate, the number once again, 0205 973 973. 0205 973 973. This is a groundbreaking event and you should be a part of it. Get your fresh farm produce and take it home and enjoy some sumptuous meals with it. The catch here is that you're going to be buying these products or produce at unbeatable prices, because here there's no middleman. It's just you and the farmer negotiating prices there and then. So no middleman. You're going to have the opportunity to make purchases at unbeatable prices. So show up. Once again, the date is the 20th to the 22nd of June, 2025. The venue is the Efua Sutherland Children's Park here in Accra. And just consider it, okay? Instead of what we learned in school, Market Day at Asasewa, make it Market Day at the Children's Park, and come and let's shop. And let's go and enjoy some fufu and some abetia and konko, some omutio and some PC at home with the fresh farm produce that we're going to get from the Agri Fair. Mark your calendars. We want to see you. Now, throughout the entire month of June, okay, we're having the Citi Business Festival. The Citi Business Festival is designed to bring you updated information, knowledge, and of course, technical know-how on improving your business, growing your business, expanding your business, and of course sustaining same. And so we want you to be part of the Citi Business Festival. We've been bringing you our on-air series throughout the month. We've seen topics centered on the agri space, topics on your personal finances. You're going to see topics on business growth, business development. So please be on the lookout for the on-air series, which is 9 a.m. on 97.3 Citi FM and 10 a.m. on Channel 1 television. This morning, we're going to look at how technology is changing agric in Africa. How technology is changing agric in Africa. And Aloysius Atta, the co-founder and CEO of Farmer Line Group, will be speaking on this particular topic today, Thursday, the 12th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2025, 9 a.m. on 97.3 Citi FM, 10 a.m. here on Channel 1 TV, 10 a.m. 9 a.m. as well on Channel 1 TV. Make a date and don't miss out on this, okay? We want you to be a part of it. There's so much to chew on. These are nuggets that you'd otherwise have to pay for, but we're bringing them to you as part of our drive and commitment to help Ghanaian businesses grow, expand, and be able to compete on the global market space. The Citi Business Festival is brought to you by Channel 1 TV, 97.3 Citi FM, and is proudly sponsored by Absa Bank, MTN Business, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited. So thank you to Absa, thank you to MTN, thank you to Zonda Tech. We're grateful that you're supporting and sponsoring the Citi Business Festival 2025. Also, be on the lookout for our outdoor events, our seminars, our workshops, the fora, and of course that boot camp. You should be on the lookout for it. It's all part of the Citi Business Festival, which I have said is designed to help grow micro, small, medium enterprises, to help grow established businesses, and to expand frontiers. Okay, and so there's a forum happening this morning, the Citi Business Forum. It's at the Alisa Hotel, North Ridge, and it will be live on TV as well. And so you're going to have speakers such as Dr. Ekospio Gabra, a former Minister of Trade and Industry. You have Emmanuel Mensah, Head of Trade and Working Capital, Absa Bank Ghana Limited. Mavis Owusu Jemfi, CEO, African Center for Economic Transformation Asset. Michael Koto, a management consultant, will also be speaking there. And so we need you to be a part of it. It's happening at the Alisa Hotel, North Ridge, and it will be live on Channel 1 TV from 9:30 a.m. So like I said, there will be a number of these outdoor events, and so be on the lookout for them as well. This is the first one for this year as part of the Citi Business Festival, and it's happening at the Alisa Hotel. The theme for this particular forum is the Global Tariffs Dispute, Navigating Ghana's Recovery Strategy. And you should be interested in this, because if Donald Trump decides to throw tariffs at us, it will shake the foundations of all economies, including the Ghanaian economy. And so you should be able to navigate your way through as a business person, considering the impact of international tariffs on international trade. So be part of our outdoor activities as well as our on-air series as part of the Citi Business Festival, brought to you by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM, with sponsorship from Absa Bank, MTN Business, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited. Alrighty, time now to get into the newspapers. Let's find out what the papers are saying this morning. Although later tonight at 9 p.m., Vivian Kailoko will bring you that show known as What the Papers Are Saying with her panelist on Channel 1 TV. Let's start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. New era for aluminium industry. GIADEC granted 6 mining leases. New era for aluminium industry. GIADEC granted 6 mining leases. Speaker directs MPs, ministers to regularize offices held for profit. Speaker directs MPs and ministers to regularize offices held for profit. Economy expands by 5.3% in first quarter, so Q1, that's quarter one. Services agri lead recovery. So the Ghanaian economy has expanded by 5.3% in the first quarter of the year 2025, and we're being told that the services and agri sectors are leading the recovery. Okay, showcase graphic newspapers, reduce airfares. Minister appeals to airline operators. That's the call by the minister to airline operators. I'll take you to the back page, and this is worrying. We need to get serious and pay serious attention to this. Mpox cases surge to 85. Public health measures prevent deaths. Mpox cases surge to 85. Public health measures prevent deaths. Listen, it's a matter of personal hygiene. Okay, so let's go back to what we adopted, the practices, the customs and systems we adopted during the COVID-19 era. and we should be able to help reduce the rates of increase and, of course, prevent further spread of monkeypox. Okay, the personal hygiene, the washing of hands, the social distancing, and all. It will help all of us. Now, Central University inaugurates hospital project. Central University inaugurates hospital project. That's the daily graphic this morning. Let's take a look at the daily guide. Daily guide. Daily guide says, Edubuahin trial. AG files 85 documents, 3 witness statements. Edubuahin trial. AG files 85 documents and 3 witness statements. Supreme Court vacates Akwetia MP's conviction. Supreme Court vacates Akwetia MP's conviction. Drama in Parliament over nurses' strike. Drama in Parliament over nurses' strike. Mpox cases rise to 85. We're getting to an alarming rate, so we should be careful. Mpox cases rise to 85. Pregnant pupil delivers during BECE. Pregnant pupil delivers during BECE. What's the Ghanaian Times saying? $300,000 equipment for Shraj goes to waste due to delay in obtaining services of network consultant. Hey, why do we do this to ourselves as a country? $300,000 equipment for Shraj goes to waste due to delay in obtaining services of network consultant. Okay, enough said. 2025 BECE takes off nationwide. Economy grows by 5.3% first quarter. This is attributed to the government statistician. 24-hour economy policy ready July 1. That's John Dramani Mahama, the president of Ghana, speaking. And then Supreme Court overturns Akwetia MP contempt conviction. Supreme Court overturns Akwetia MP contempt conviction. Let me take you to the Chronicle newspaper real quick. Chronicle says MP Ayu escapes Bagbin's wrath. MP Ayu escapes Bagbin's wrath after failing to obey Ahiafo's order to leave the house. Okay, FDA to vendors, stop selling leftover food. FDA to vendors, stop selling leftover food. And then the scripture for the day is from the book of Titus, chapter 3, verse 1. Remind them to be subject to rulers, to authorities, to be obedient, to be ready for every good deed. May the Lord add his blessing to the reading of his word. You get sports stories on the back page. Now, BNFT this morning, Business and Financial Times. Muhammad declares July 1 start for 24-hour economy. Muhammad declares July 1 start for 24-hour economy. Economy grows by 5.3% in quarter 1 of 2025. Republic Bank rolls out Citi mortgage campaign. Oil windfall fails to deliver socio-economic transformation. This according to a study by UG, that's the University of Ghana. And then you have Africa Gets Medical Center of Excellence and a number of other stories in the Business and Financial Times. Daybreak newspaper, UTI scare hits Agri girls. UTI scared hits Agri girls. Fear, panic at GPHA as wholesale promotions probe sparks anxiety. Fear, panic at GPHA as wholesale promotions probe sparks anxiety. KGL NLAC contract best since 1958. Then you have Eduasari weeps for sacked Adenta deputy women organizer. Eduasari weeps for sacked Adenta deputy women organizer. And S. Johnson Asiedu Nketia rejecting GPHA board chair position is a question the Daybreak newspaper is asking. The New Republic, AGI's James Bond's loot. Over 33 houses, cash and properties identified amidst asset declaration bombshell. Telcos respond to economic boom as MTN, Telecel and AT increase data bundle for less. 24-hour economy kickstarts on July 1st. Group chases KGL over NLA deal. NPP bigwigs seek clemency for Wontumi. NPP bigwigs seek clemency for Wontumi. Now let's go online, citinewsroom.com. Citinewsroom.com. CBF first forum on global tariff disputes and Ghana's economic recovery to be held today. It's what I told you about earlier. It's happening at the Alisa Hotel Northridge here in Accra. And the theme is the global tariffs dispute, Navigating Ghana's Recovery Strategy. So that forum, the first as part of this year's City Business Festival, is happening this morning at the Alisa Hotel. We'll be live on TV at 9:30 a.m. onwards. Okay, let's look at some other stories. Uforiata extradition in motion as AG OSP coordinate efforts. Uforiata extradition in motion as AG, that's the Attorney General's Department, and OSP coordinate efforts. Parliament's Health Committee to meet striking nurses today. Parliament's Health Committee to meet striking nurses today. Cops tortured Atai to frame innocent mechanic, and it's attributed to his lawyer. Cops tortured Atai to frame innocent mechanic. Removal of Major Generals follows GAF rules and precedent. That's the Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah, speaking there. Removal of Major Generals follows Ghana Armed Forces rules and precedent. Delay in nurses' conditions of service caused by internal union dispute. That's the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission speaking there. Delay in nurses' conditions of service caused by internal union dispute. When you go on to citynewsroom.com, you get details of these stories and others. Let me take you to channel1news.com. Channel1news.com. Also leading with that first forum on global tariff disputes and Ghana's economic recovery, which is happening today at the Alisa Hotel, North Ridge. Be part of this forum. There's a lot to learn from it. Okay. Ghana's justice system undermines human rights reputation. Ghana's justice system undermines human rights reputation. That's the Crime Check Foundation speaking. Yesterday they sat with Bernard Avle on the point of view here on Channel 1 television. Omane-Boamah defends release of senior generals, cites legal and historical precedents. Omane-Boamah defends release of senior generals, cites legal and historical precedents. NPP defeat Kenneth Japon's claims untenable. That's Nana Akomia speaking there. He was vice chairman of the Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia campaign team for the 2024 general elections. GRNMA strike. Retired nurses sicker than patients. That's a former GRNMA president speaking there. When you go to Akwetia, let's end litigation and move on. NS Kumi's lawyer, 2 contenders. Then you have Fifi Kwete to party members. No one is above NDC. Remain loyal. You get details of these stories and several others on the channel1news.com web portal. Go there and have access to all these stories. But let's remind you that the first CBF forum is happening this morning at the Alisa Hotel, North Ridge here in Accra. And it's on global tariffs dispute, navigating Ghana's recovery strategy. It will be live from 9:30 a.m. here on Channel 1 TV. You're watching Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll get straight into the news review segment.
This June, the business wave is back and it's bigger than ever. The Citi Business Festival 2025 on Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, where it's all about business. This June, we will be celebrating Ghanaian businesses, re-examining our business modules and practices through our business fora, and sharing knowledge through our on-air business discussions. Make a business date with the on-air series every weekday at 9 a.m. on the Citi Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and 10 a.m. on Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 TV. From expert interviews to real-world insights to the tools you need to grow. Don't miss a single moment this June. It's the Citi Business Festival 2025, celebrating everything business. Only on Citi FM and Channel 1 TV. Your business, your future, your time is now. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and let's grow together. The Citi Business Festival 2025, celebrating everything business.
The Citi Business Festival 2025 is powered by 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, and it's proudly sponsored by Absa Bank, MTN Business, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited.
Calling all farmers, agribusinesses, and innovators, this is your chance to shine. Channel 1 TV invites you to exhibit at Agri Fair 2025, one of Ghana's largest agricultural exhibitions. From Friday 20th to Sunday the 22nd of June, the A4 Sutherland Children's Park in Accra will come alive with the very best from Ghana's agribusiness sector. Are you a farmer with fresh produce of any kind? Be it crops, livestock exhibitions. From Friday 20th to Sunday the 22nd of June, the A4 Sutherland Children's Park in Accra. Agribusiness sector of any kind. Fishery of world. Agri Fair 2025 is more than an exhibition. Showcase your fresh produce, share your expertise and experience, and grow your business. So, to all farmers with fresh produce, livestock or poultry, fisheries or aquaculture products, come, sell, network, and expand your business. Agri Fair 2025, where culture meets innovation. Register now to secure your spot. Call us on 0205 973 973. Come one, come all. Enjoy the freshest farm produce at unbeatable prices, and treat yourself to sizzling kebabs made from beef, mutton, pork, chicken, and more. Great taste, great value. Don't miss out. The Agri Fair 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by the Ghana Exim Bank, Legacy Crop Improvement Center, Development Bank Ghana, Agri Impact Limited, and the Horticulture Business Platform. Our technology partner is Farmerline.
Hello there. Thank you for joining us. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 Television. Time now for the news review segment, where we'll get into a conversation surrounding some of the topical issues dominating the media space. This morning, I'm joined in studio by Elvis Dako. He's the editor of the News Center newspaper and newscenter.com. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Akosua Mienu is here. She was the NPP's parliamentary candidate for the Adenton constituency in the 2024 general elections. Good morning, Akosua.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Then we have the Honorable Member of Parliament for Afajatu South, Frank Efriye, also here with us. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning.
First time here.
Absolutely.
Good to have you. Good
Sure.
to have you.
Same
Good
here.
to have you.
Same here.
Right. We have a number of stories to look at, but before that, Akosua has written a love letter to Madam Vice President. Hey, Akosua.
Yes, I did.
Talk to us about that briefly.
Okay, so when the Vice President became the first female to ever assume that position, even though we are on different, on the political divide, we're on the other side, I'm sure most of us felt proud that a female had been able to, you know, attain such a high height. Now, if you take the three arms of government, Chief Justice Tokono, I've said it here before, that her treatment, the media trial, the indignity that she has suffered, the shame brought to herself, her family, anybody associated with her, is almost to strip her of any meaningful connection that people have with her as far as respect is concerned. Now, when all this was happening, you recall that she asked for a public trial, for the process to be made public,
the committee hearings.
The committee hearings to be made public, and she being denied it. And I think, obviously, if I was here that day with him, the conversation was, if indeed you are saying she's done all that she says she's done, at least let us see her defending herself. Unfortunately, what we've seen is that everything happening there after that, there's no information whatsoever. But then we have a female vice president who, although is not the number one, is clearly the number two. And if we take the three arms of government, another female is sitting right on top of it. I think that it would have been fair to hear what she has to say concerning the matter. If in the room she even disagrees, I'm sure whispers would have floated around somewhat that she disagrees to the humiliation and the beating and battering of the image and dignity of Chief Justice Tokono. I do not believe that till date the things as stated in the petition merit the humiliation that she suffered, and it's only fair that we hear from the Vice President to bring her attention to it and to call for some sanity as far as some of these media and public trials are concerned. Beyond the gender issue, it also speaks to how women are often treated. Not enough break through the glass ceiling as it is, but when we see them do, is to lend a helping hand to the other. So
well, thank you. I would have gone around the table on this, but it's not part of our topics. I just decided to chip that in since the author sits here herself, so I just had to have her put a voice to the text that she had written. Anyways, our first story for today happens to do with labor unrest. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is on strike. That strike has taken a critical turn. Okay, we're recording an increase in number of deaths. The Mortuary Workers Association actually spoke to us and told us that the intake of dead bodies now has increased since the nurses embarked on this strike. There has been some engagements, but we haven't seen the end of it. Negotiations, we are not sure where they stand now. I'm going to start with you, Honorable Frank Efrie, on this nurses strike. The minority now is urging government to honor the conditions of service. Government says if we do so, it will throw our budget off gear. Nurses insist that we made you aware of this agreement, which was signed in 2024, but we made you aware of it since 2025 January. So how are you unable to factor this in your budget and implement same?
Well, let me use the opportunities to say profound gratitude to yourself and of course Channel One, being my maiden appearance over here. It's also important for me to use the opportunity to say good morning to the good people of the Fajatu South, my co-panelists, and then to seize the opportunity once again to wish our BECE candidates all the very best in their examination. We know we'll count on them. They constitute the human resource base of this country. Right. And then we pray that Almighty God guides them through a successful end. I think before I come to the nurses strike, I think it's also important to just say briefly a word about Akosia's letter to the Vice President. We have couched for ourselves a democratic path, which path sometimes could be bitter and sweet. In our jurisprudence, we have all agreed that no matter the ills of democracy, it's still far, far better than military intervention. So if you visit the Constitution, specifically the section that provides for removal of justices of the Supreme Court, including the Chief Justice, I think the President is only like a conveyor belt in all this. And failure to act will also amount to constitutional breaches. And so, yes, today we have a female vice president, but can she do anything outside the democratic structure that we have, drawn for ourselves? No, I do not think so. And I wouldn't like to go into memory lane as to who was where, when, what was done. As a nation, we must just ensure that, look, we give her the dignity that she deserves in all these entire processes. The law was in her bosom, and so I know that she knows where and how to defend herself.
Very well.
So back to this very issue, a strike by the Registered Nurses and Midwife Association.
Were you in Parliament when that chaos occurred?
Yes, I was, but I stepped momentarily to my office
so
when the chaos erupted. And so yesterday, funny enough, I was dressing my daughter up, my third born, and then she heard the name Efriye on Joy. Daddy said, look, Daddy, your name is being mentioned. I said, no, that's not me.
Right.
Just on the sideline. Okay, so it's unfortunate we are where we are now. Matters of labor are the heart of this administration's preoccupation. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, per the record, is very concerned about what goes to the labor front, the working conditions of all the laborers of this country. It's extremely important to point that out. Now, let's put this whole thing into perspective. The nurses have signed an agreement with government. It really doesn't matter which regime was in power then, but the government of Ghana. But principally under the former administration. And so when you take over, you inherit pluses and minuses. So I am not ready to make any case as to who really signed, who ought to deliver to these nurses what they were entitled to.
Right.
But we are where we are simply because government of Ghana has reneged on its own pledges to these nurses and midwives. And so there is a stalemate. The nurses have sent a signal and then they have withdrawn their services. Now, in the midst of all this, is there a winner? No. There's absolutely no winner. Government doesn't win in any form of shape. The nurses and midwives themselves, they can never win in any form of shape. At the very least, government is losing most, simply because the lot of revenues that this hospital generates is going down the drain. Again, precious lives are likely to be lost, if not lost already. A lot of the sick, their conditions will be exacerbated by this strike. Doctors are extremely overwhelmed. And so government is concerned about the current trend, but then we are just torn between the devil and the deep blue sea. On the one hand, you need to make your workers feel okay by giving them what they are entitled to. On the other hand, too, you have an economy that has not been doing well. You inherited an economy that was quite ailing, which government is fixing. And so when you fix the economy, every worker, regardless of the amount and emolument you are entitled to, at least it puts you in a more convenient position. If the economy is working well, the exchange rate, the inflationary trend, everything, prices of food items, consumables, everything, including hospital bills. If the workforce or labor is being paid something minimum or reasonable, within a functioning economy, you realize that there will not be that much pressure. Okay? But then, if government goes out, government's position is that, given where we are now, if we should step out of the physical discipline that we are exercising, that will mean that the economic gains and the foundation we are laying for ourselves is likely to be put in jeopardy.
The argument the nurses make is more of they being taken for a ride, because according to the nurses, they have been engaging since January of 2025. And so you don't, you know about this, you don't factor it in the budget, you wait for us to strike, and then you tell us that you are unable to implement same.
No, the reality is that I will not sit here and government hasn't shown any posturing of blaming or putting a blame game on these nurses. Indeed, they are entitled to what they are asking for, signed by the government of Ghana.
Very well.
But then we must also make the point quite strongly that this whole thing was signed under the previous administration. Now, in the month of January 2025, that was when the new regime was taking over. The president was sworn in, members of parliament, we were sworn in. Thereafter, ministers were being, appointed, vetted. The wheel of government was in the process of being set in motion. And again, you realize that until you take over, you don't really appreciate the real state of the coffers. Okay.
You know the chief directors are still there.
The chief directors are there, but these are grand policy issues. You have made pledges on the campaign trail, and then within the fiscal space that you have, you need to fulfill.
Which pledge included better conditions for nurses?
Absolutely, better condition for nurses and all other workers, including the pledge to fix the economy. Okay? And so it is like you put in which of this one do you put first?
A matter of priorities.
Priority. I think that what benefits all of us globally as Ghanaians is to fix the economy first. When we fix the economy, then we come and ask ourselves that how do we reward workforce or labor?
Very well.
And so I am concerned that as at now, the two parties are not sitting. At a certain point, government says, come and let's sit. But the nurses says, no, we are holding on to our gun until you fulfill what it is that we are entitled to, we will not return. In this case, look, lives are at stake, as I said already. We need to get the nurses back by appealing to them. And I'm using this platform to appeal passionately to them. Now, regarding what happened in Parliament, I think it's uncalled for, completely uncalled for, because it's a rule, it's a house that is governed by rules. And so if you go to Order 93.1, a member can raise a subject matter of public importance, such as what is happening now with the nurses and midwives. But that is subject to the discretion of the Speaker. Again, any statement so composed will be discussed at the level of leadership and the Speaker. That is conclave. And so not too long ago, you recall that Winneba was heavily under attack by cholera. The minority leader passed through every legitimate laid-down procedural processes, to make a statement on the floor of the House, which attracted contribution from all of us, not only by way of our decision, but then material contribution. And so these laid-down processes ought to be followed.
Very well.
If you don't follow and Speaker says, please follow the process, and you decide to go otherwise, I think that is a form of gross indiscipline, which all of us must guard against going forward.
Very well, very well. Abusia, the minority insists that government must honor the conditions of service. From what you said, is the government in a position to? The government is asking for time. They want to move the implementation date to 2026. Is the government treating these nurses fairly?
First of all, let me just greet the audience again, watching from home, and a quick rebuttal to his response to my love letter to the Vice President. His response doesn't surprise me, since it's obvious that the goal has been to remove the CG. What I am saying is that he is basing, as we sit here, he's basing the process on the Constitution. The public humiliation and vilification is not spelled out anywhere in the Constitution. There's a dignified manner in which this can be done. If indeed you feel that she's erred, or as they conveniently postured that a petition was brought to them and subsequently that is what they are following up on. Why not? But is the vilification necessary? Is the indignity she suffered necessary? The Constitution doesn't spell that.
Right.
Now back to the question of
the nurses' strike.
The nurses' strike. You know, it's been, I would say that this has been probably the longest strike in recent history of nurses laying down their tools this way. The engagement so far shows the neglect and disrespect the government has for the nurses. When the former government assumed power in 2017, there were conditions spelled out from various institutions that it did not hesitate to implement because government is a continuum. As far back as May 1st, was 2024, was when the agreement had been done. We all know that there was a faction of them that took the matter to court. We know that as a result of that, it delayed. The case was brought to a finality in January of this year. They are not asking for much. In fact, the government is telling us that it's 2 billion that will be added to government budget.
Right.
2 billion. But government didn't hesitate to increase the budgetary allocation to the Jubilee House to 1.4 billion. Luxury travels, excess presidential staffers, a whole lot that goes into that 1.4 billion. Are we saying that government cannot find the space to help these nurses? As we speak, even on your website, 85 new cases of mpox.
Yeah.
Honorable Efriye sits here. His constituency, if I'm right, has 19 public health institutions, 2 private institutions, has 92 nurses and 20 midwives who have laid down their tools. In the event of an outbreak, even in his constituency, who will be blamed? He will be blamed. What hurts me the most is this whipping up of media personalities from social media to even on-air radio, TV, lambasting these nurses. That what do you mean by asking for a uniform allowance? So I worked in a bank before I even launched myself into politics. That was private sector. But even them, they see the need to give you an allowance to dress, to look good, to represent the institution that you work for. So these nurses with their meager salaries, probably not one of even the best in the sub-region, are asking for that extra cushion for their welfare. Given that as we sit here, the D-levy is even going to kick in and transport fares will go up and nurses can't afford cars. That little bit to let them feel that they are cared for as frontline health staff. People that sacrifice their lives daily, whose stories are not even heard as far as what they go through. We can't bring some respect to the process. We can't show some competence to the effect that the health minister even said that he's going to bring retired nurses if they are going to behave this.
He appealed to retired nurses to volunteer.
No, even to say that is so dismissive of the concerns therein, because even with the retired nurses, I've listened to a few interviews and they spelled out the horrible conditions they suffered and how they exited it without even a decent retirement package. And we all know that one stream of income is not even enough. There are nurses who work but sell stuff on the side or to make ends meet. Honorable here, I'm sure, has other businesses to sustain all the demands that his constituents will place on him. So it's so shameful and embarrassing. And last week when I was here, I pleaded that the nurses go back. It's painful to hear the things being said of them as if they do not matter, but they do matter. As we sit here, last Tuesday, I hear death toll is rising.
Yeah.
I hear the death
Yeah.
toll is rising.
Yeah.
And it's not like we have an epidemic, but it's just the incompetence and the insensitivity of this government. Almost to use them as an example that, oh, we are used to strikes, as the former president said in his first term. Do you remember dead goat syndrome? That this we are used to, so do your worst. Really? At the expense of the poor Ghanaian, some of whom will not even have the opportunity to even see any person of authority, just their national health insurance and whatnot, and a good nurse to take care of them. Really? If this is some sort of playbook to deter other organized labor or other workers to desist from striking, I believe it's a very poor example, because if agreements are not met, it is dialogue, it is appealing, it is pleading. It's not being dismissive, it's not being insulting, it's not telling them that, and it's not even frontal. It's almost as if the posture. The health minister even said something about he was even out of town and he doesn't even know why they are doing what they are doing. I was like, what's that got to do with anything? You sat with them. You knew this was coming. When he was in, in opposition, did he not take a trip to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and wanted to apparently go to the surgical ward because he felt that he had to see for himself what was happening?
Well, he was a ranking member on the health committee, so
why not?
I mean, he was exercising.
So the same concern he had and the same issues they had back then, not much has changed.
The only difference was of the economy,
yes,
they have changed.
The realities of the economy did not deter them from ballooning the budget at the Jubilee House, 1.4 billion.
We understand the national security has now been taken away from the OGM, the Office of Government Machinery.
When your nurses
the budget has
strike, when your nurses lay down their tools for more than a week, it's national security failure. The national security should have sacrificed their resource allocations to give to the nurses.
The national security is engaged in different matters.
The national security should have spelled out the dangers of nurses going out, of nurses striking. So it's a failure on the national security. It is. The president should have been briefed that if these nurses go on strike, these are the repercussions nationwide. I am sure the death toll in his constituency may have gone up, because 92 nurses, 20 midwives are not working. Women are going to go into labor. What will these midwives do? They are going to fold their arms and look at them. Is that what we want? Look at the challenges we have in maternal health care already. So if indeed the budget is an issue, are we sitting here and they've told us so much money is coming from Gold Board? They are well, as we speak, they've introduced a one Citi per liter, 4.5 cedis per gallon.
Implementation date has been moved to 16th
of this month. So that should find some expression into the demands that these nurses. They have to find the money and make sure they meet the demands of these nurses.
Very well. Elvis, already we have a deficit in the nurse to patient ratio. Nurses have now laid down their tools. Lives are at stake. Now there's a matter of pushing vis-a-vis demands being made. Do we have the money to meet these demands? If we do not, how do we engage going forward to avoid what is likely to be a health catastrophe in this country?
See, as a country, I always say that it's about setting our priorities right, telling Ghanaians the truth about the country's state of development and the sacrifices that would need to be made is what is key. But when we go on political platform and make sumptuous promises to Ghanaians, when you come to power, you don't expect the same Ghanaians to treat you with kids' gloves. They didn't force you to go and make all those promises. So sometimes politicians turn around to blame Ghanaians for demanding their pound of flesh for the promises politicians make, and then they turn around. It's something that is funny. First of all, the government should stop making this accusation that it's not in the budget. Why is it not in the budget? Why? Because the ministers were appointed, approved before the budget for the year was presented. Atuforsen presented the budget to Parliament on the 11th of March, 2025. So if you present the budget in 11th of March, and the nurses have already informed you, started engaging you from January, it means you are aware of their needs. So if they are not in the budget, it means that you deliberately didn't put them in the budget. So you cannot tell me that they are not in the budget. It's no excuse. They have brought it to you that this agreement has been signed.
Yeah.
You are a new government, we understand. That's why we are alerting you that before you present your budget, make sure we are captured. And then you deliberately remove them from the budget. You didn't include them at all. And then you come and give them excuse that because you didn't factor them there, but they should accept that they should not be paid. That is neither here nor there. Do you understand it? So I think the government communication should stop this communication of you are not in the budget. It will annoy the nurses the more. Because then they drew attention to the thing before you presented your budget.
Right.
So if you are telling them they are not in the budget, you are only telling them that you deliberately didn't add them to the budget. You are not saying that you were not aware of their needs before presenting the budget. And they are proving that they made you aware of their needs before you presented the budget. So what's the basis for removing them from the budget, not including them in the budget? So that kind of communication will get the nurses more angry not to come back. It is not a time for that kind of confrontational communication, seeking sympathy of the public. And the public who is trying to sympathize with the politician, let me tell you, the politician has the money to go and pay in private hospitals. They have the money to fly abroad. You, the ordinary person who is supposed to sympathize with the nurses, if you sympathize with the politician, it is you who will suffer. It's you who doesn't have the money to go to UGMC to go and pay for a card for 200 cedis. UGMC is working, but how many people can afford the race at UGMC? So the typical Ghanaian mentality of trying to back government against institutions will cause us in this nurses strike if we continue that way. We should rather back the nurses against government and make government fulfill their needs. This government that has come, haven't we seen politicians driving brand new V8 and new cars? Is it not public money that are being used to buy those things? If they can afford money to buy all those things for politicians, why is that the next does not deserve what it's asking for? Why are we creating the players as if they don't deserve what they mean? Look, I'm happy that we are all feeling the pinch and the pain of the nurses not being around. If you go to hospital and want to be truthful to yourself, you will sympathize with the work nurses do. A sick person is on the bed, and these nurses who are supposed to turn the person around, bathe the person, feed the person, do everything possible for the person who is on the sick bed. You, the family, you are sitting home. Okay? That your patient is at the hospital. You expect the nurses to make sure that the person is in good health. They clean the pools of people who are sick in the hospital. How many of us will be willing to do that? If you go to our hinterlands, nurses walk through forests and bushes just to go and provide health care for people in very deep forest rural communities. Some of them getting bitten by snakes, some even die out of that. Some have to sit in boats without life jackets to cross rivers to communities, island communities, to go and provide health care for people. Sometimes the canoes capsize and they die. The kind of things nurses go through is not what politicians go through.
Right.
So we should stop this attitude of trying to back the politician against the nurses. It's very important that Ghanaians avert their mind to the conditions that nurses go through just to provide health care for all of us. The wounds that of your family member, if you ask you to dress in the house, you run away. It's taken to a nurse to dress that wound. And because it is his or her job, it's supposed to dress that wound and will do it for the person. The kind of work nurses do, if we want to be truthful to ourselves, they should be among the highest paid people in this country. Whatever they're asking for here, I said it here last week, there are state institutions who are earning more than that, which the nurses are earning. And whatever they are asking for, nobody has been able to prove that what you are asking for here, there's no state institution that is paying that and therefore you don't deserve it. The argument is not that they are asking for things that their counterparts in Russia are not enjoying. Nobody has been able to make that. Everybody agrees that whatever they are asking for,
they deserve it.
Their counterparts in other institutions paid by the same employer, which is government of Ghana, are getting similar things. So why is it that they cannot get it? I have given advice to the government here that whether 2 billion or whether 4 billion, because I've seen two different figures. Once the deputy finance minister said 2 billion, I have seen some government communicators who pushed the actual agreement and all the allowances that these nurses are to be paid, and the total is put at about 4 billion. Whichever way it is, we must make sure that these nurses get it. Because this whole nation's health care, all of us, when we are sick today, without these nurses, we are all seeing the effect. And therefore, it is important that the public stop lambasting and bashing these nurses, because that is what will even make them more angry not to come back. When in your village, they need health care, the nurse that you are lambasting is the one who goes there. It's not a politician who goes to provide the health care for them. And as I said, if you look at the conditions some of these nurses go through, if a nurse is moving from one village to another, in a bush and beaten by scare, die, doesn't get any compensation for dying in line of duty. Okay? If it's in a canoe crossing to an allied community and the boat capsizes and she dies, it's not paid any compensation for dying in line of duty. But we are in this country where the IGP decided that the IGP Dampare said, please die in duty, on line of duty, are getting over 100,000 Ghana cedis if you die in line of duty. Is the police not paid by the state? Is the nurse not being paid by the state? Why is that the police in line of duty dies will get that and the nurse cannot get that? Let's be fair to ourselves. Everybody works for government, works for the same institution, one employer, government of Ghana. So what is good for one institution is good for another institution. So I want the public to understand that if we follow politicians, we are the ones who will suffer. As I said, if you go to UGMC, a politician can afford to take his or a family to UGMC because you are paying him a bigger salary than the nurse. You have bought him a V8. You have done all kinds of things for them. You pay their accommodation. Even gardeners and the rest get paid by the state for politicians. And then we are talking about a nurse who is making sure that when we fall sick and go to the hospital, no matter our condition, situations that we will run away from when our families are in, we will run away from them. We will say, I cannot do this. Some of them, when our families are saying they poo-poo on themselves, they say, how can I go and clean an adult poo? But a nurse will clean it because it's part of his or her duty. So we should stop this idea of trying to antagonize the nurses for demanding their fair share of the national cake. I think that per Atufosin's presentation of the budget, total compensation for 2025 is 76.6 billion. Our total expenditure for the year is 290 billion. That's what we have planned to spend. Okay? Our deficit is 43.8 billion. I think we can add the 4 billion, even if it's all, we can add it to it. If we think that the health care of this country is important. The productivity and everything we are looking for, you need healthy human beings to be able to achieve productivity. So if we don't pay attention to issues about health, we'll be in trouble. I know the government is scared because the government is very much aware that there are other institutions who are equal have other acts for these things that have not been given to them. And that when the nurses get it, there will be a whole queue of other institutions who will come in and also ask for.
But I would begin engaging them now.
That is
to paint the real picture to them. So
I said it here that if the government tells the nurses that, look, this year we will not find the money to pay, but we will start the implementation. We will pay the backlog in January 2026, and therefore we have agreed to pay. The nurses will go back to work. But if the impression is that we can't pay, and then we can only consider you from January 2026, this particular strike will last longer. And for the minister to hold a press conference and tell us that he's appealing to retired nurses to come to work, I think that they have to, I've said it, see, when government play with communication will be your downfall. Communication will be your downfall. I never expected the Minister of Health to go out there and says they are appealing to retired nurses. Do you think that the retired nurses are happy with what you pay them? Do you think that they're happy the way you treated them when they were working? Do you think that when they retired and didn't take any lump sum home, you will send them to SNIT to go and take that peanut? When people who work for the security services will go and take Cap 30, you think that the retired nurses who are home are happy about the way we treated them and therefore you appeal to them and they'll come back? We should rationalize communication and realize that there are certain statements in crisis management like this. You don't. I've said it. Government needs some special experts of team sitting behind. We don't need to know them.
Yeah.
When crisis hits government, they should consult those people to advise them that in the case of this statement will cause you more problems. I believe that just the call by the minister, the appeal to retired nurses will even anger the nurses more.
Right.
That, okay, you think that you can do without us. Please, we are talking about 120,000 nurses. How many retired nurses and midwives are alive for you to even be appealing to them that you come and replace those who are working? Right. We should be realistic in situations like this. Let's talk to the people in a way and manner that they will feel like, okay, the government is willing, so let's listen. But when you make statements that they see as disparaging, statement that they see that you are trying to say they are not important, you get them more angry, and then they will decide not to come until you do the right thing. And I think it will cost not the government, because the politicians have money to pay in private hospitals. It is the poor person who cannot afford private health care, who needs to carry his national health insurance card and go to a public health facility, is the one who will suffer. And in rural Ghana, ask yourself, how many rural communities have even private healthcare facilities there? Yeah. That even the person wants to go to private, he has to travel a long distance in order to be able to go to a private health facility.
Thank you. Thank you, Elvis. Honorable, let me come to you in a minute. What's the way forward? Because we need to address this and address it now.
Okay, so before I come to the way forward, quickly, let me just do some few corrections. It's absolutely important. Look, Elvis made a point that the health minister said he was bringing on board retired nurses, as it were, to come and replace these nurses and midwives. No. That is way out of the narrative.
So what's
the minister's position is that whilst negotiations are ongoing, lives must be protected. And so doctors are equally overwhelmed. What do we do while still negotiating? So let's appeal to these retired nurses as a stopgap measure to come and assist. I mean, someone who has worked and served this nation for 60 plus years and is retired cannot be a substitute.
On what condition?
It cannot be a substitute for someone who is in active service. I think that point must be made.
No,
I know he said, look,
Honorable, you say you are trying to justify the point is that
no, I'm coming.
I am working.
No,
and I say I'm on strike.
Please,
and you are appealing to someone to come and work on my behalf.
Elvis, please. Elvis,
it's not like
with the greatest respect. The point I'm making is that whilst negotiating, or while the nurses and midwives are home, we must protect and preserve life.
Very well.
How do we do it? Doctors alone cannot do it.
I'm looking at a story here.
That's
former
why
GRNMA president says retired nurses are sicker than the patients.
Yes, so those that are healthy can come and assist. And it's a voluntary call to service, call to humanity. This is not a substitute for what is government needs to do to bring this message back. But you see, the way forward for me, I think it's absolutely important for us to know at this point that government hasn't thrown its hand in despair. The Deputy Finance Minister only stated the amount that we need in order to absorb this whole condition of service. Okay? Government is a process where you need to give and take. I believe strongly that with negotiation, we'll be able to go around this whole difficulty. But I think that going forward, there is also the need for us to prioritize investment into security hospitals, investment into religious-based hospitals, because we are getting to know that St. Anne and many other church institutions. Yes.
It's overwhelmed now.
Yes. That's what I'm saying, that they are working based on moral principle. Okay? And again, if you go to 37, you go to police hospital, these are also institutions that are working. My point is that there will always be labor agitation. I am married to a nurse, and I know the difficulty they go through. Elvis is very much aware.
I don't need them then.
I'm not against. So the point must be made very clear that this government is not against official government position is not to say that these nurses are not entitled
But the
to
posturing
this.
of the minister suggests
Which
otherwise.
minister?
You see, the health
Which
minister.
minister?
You say it's a voluntary call to the retired
minister
nurses.
has
No.
got a lot
But
to
you
do.
know that he's met with allied unions who are not on strike yesterday.
Let's get the narrative well. You are a minister at the top, the very pinnacle of policy decision making, and groups will seek audience with you all the time, particularly so in this very critical moment when health workers want to call on you. And indeed, in the process, they say, oh, they are willing to offer their services. I mean, all I'm saying is that I can move out of studios, God forbid, and be involved in accident. Anybody at all, anything can happen.
Yeah.
That is why we are saying that they are essential service providers. Okay? So government is not against, government is not fighting these people. All we are saying is that what brought us down, the economy down, as we witnessed at the tail end of Nanado's administration, was the lack of fiscal discipline. And so when we begin to go haywire now, you get everything you are entitled to from government, but when you go to the market and inflation is 54, that is where you feel the pinch. That is where you see the irrelevance of the
real value of what you are asking
real
for
value
will not be
of
felt.
what will not be felt. You see, so I am appealing on moral ground and say, look, it's a give and take process. Let's still continue to judge all. Government cannot maintain a firm stand. Okay, we must gravitate to the center. The nurses must also gravitate to the center, so that, just like Elvis said, then we find a common ground to move forward. But you see, before I land, I think that my dear sister Kostia made mention of certain things which are factually inaccurate. If you're part of a government that the president appointed 120 plus ministers, and the current regime has appointed just 56, who is saving the public coffers? Who is protecting the public purse? You were part of a government that the president appointed close to 1,000 presidential staffers. Okay? Mahama is here to do even up to 200. Okay? And so my dear sister's point is that luxurious travel. I mean, there's been literally some form of ban on travel, unless, of course, it's extremely essential. Otherwise,
is that a hill you are willing to die on? That some of your appointees are not flying first class or business class. Is that a hill you are willing to die on?
Let's not get
that
into
they are
that.
not hopping.
Let's not get there.
absolutely. When
Let's not get there. Oh, no, you wrap up on your point for me.
Yes,
Is that a hill you are willing to die on?
My point is that government has been preoccupied with certain things. You know, until we came, a very laudable policy like the free senior high school program, there was no sustainable funding for it. Okay,
For free senior high school.
there was no sustainable funding for
Yet
it.
we maintain it
There
since
was no,
implementation.
it's just been about back here and there, okay?
Yet we
But you
sustained
agree-
it, and you are in
You
government.
see, the sustenance of a program depends largely on the source of funding, inflow. Okay, how continuous is it? How dependable, how reliable it is?
The
That is
sustenance
what-
of maintaining
what-
trust in the government
I'm
is
coming, my
ensuring
dear.
these nurses
I
go
wouldn't
back
like- I
to
wouldn't
the
like to be
hospital.
heckling- please,
by
let me-
private.
let me- allow him
I
land
wouldn't
and then
like
I come
be
to you.
heckling
Allow him
my
land.
dear. Let's have a very decent
Honorable.
one.
Because you came back to my
Right.
Yes,
Let's have
you
him land.
Just to set
Honorable,
the
we have a
record
few
straight.
seconds to go.
Just to set the record straight. So you see, today, out of ingenuity, out of creativity, government has been able to find a sustainable source of funding for free senior high, which is under the guest fund. And today, you hear that all the cacophony, all the noises from schools, right, from feeding to congestion, whatever it is, at least is under control. All we are saying is that let us tackle these fundamentals. Then, of course, government is not saying that we are not indebted to you. When government owes you, I mean, government will definitely pay.
But when?
So
And what will be the value of that money?
Fortunately for us, now the Citi is even stronger than the dollar. So the more
Is it
government
perpetual?
the more government owes, yes. If you look at the coordination between the fiscal and the monetary,
Well, let's not go into
the
the
more
Citi
government
conversation.
owes them, right? I mean, I think that we must make the point that time value of money is something we have all learned basically. Okay, and today you need money to do something, urgently. Right. So from that perspective, we can begin. We can begin from somewhere, whilst we defer the rest to the next budget.
Thank you.
I believe strongly that government is willing, to engage further.
Thank you.
Nana, please, the city cannot be stronger than a dollar. You need 10 cedi to buy $1.
Thank you.
The thing that is some strength, but
But no, we need to make that clarification.
That's what I'm just trying to say.
It is some strength, but it's not stronger than the
Just to
dollar.
make the point that it has garnered some strength.
strength.
It has garnered some strength.
No.
I mean, we all know.
Exactly.
We all know.
Exactly.
We all know the relationship.
But perhaps
between
that's the
city and
prayer.
dollar. Of course.
Akusia, let's strike solutions at this point.
He said again. He said that he had to correct an inaccuracy, and he ended up stating something completely false about free SHS not having funding. We know free SHS was coming from the annual budget funding allocation. We know this. We know this, which was coming from our proceeds. We found it important for our teeming youth to get free senior high school
Very well. Very well.
education. Now, what we are saying as we sit here is, in the event that Honorable here, on his way to his constituency, has a medical emergency, he just might end up in one of the 19 public institutions or 2 private hospitals, and there will be no nurses to help him. If these 2 private hospitals are not near to him and ends up in a public facility, he's going to be in trouble. We're also saying that these negotiations, see the delay, they are due for another negotiation next year. Okay, and when they are, if they don't implement this next year, they are going to sit down for another negotiation. They sit down for another negotiation. It's not going to find expression in the budget. They're going to push it all the way to 2027. What we are going to see is a political gimmick of 2028, trying to appease them for all the ill treatments that they have meted out to them during this period.
Because it's an election year.
Yes,
Did
they are
you
going
do
to
same?
drag it. Yes, that's what they are going to do.
Did you do
But,
same?
Again, I said, when I told you, you can find it for, sometimes it's not, don't take it that Kozi is saying it. Take it that in 2017, when we came to power, some of the agreements that they had left in 2016, we implemented in 2017.
Very well.
Government is a continuum.
Very well.
So these nurses have to go back. But for them to go back, they have to, again, there are so many apologies that this government has to give to Ghanaians. One, D-Levy, they haven't apologized. Now, what these nurses are going through, the Ghanaian is suffering. Public health care, we all know the challenges there already. And then for you to play these power gimmicks with these nurses, I said something, and I don't want it to be true, but it feels that way, that let's not make it comfortable for anybody to feel they can go to strike. And let's delay the process or let them suffer at best and turn public sentiment against them. That was what they were hoping to happen. And as Elvis said, the Minister of Health dropped the ball in the comments he passed. Again, when a minister comes to talk, we are believing that he's speaking the heart and mind of the president. Right. It cannot be that there's a code of conduct for all appointees and they just set off to do whatever they want and say whatever they want. So here, I feel that he's pained because his wife is a nurse and she's on strike. I don't think she's happy to be on strike. But they have to go back to the hospitals. They have to go back to take care of Ghanaians. To do that, it's the burden of responsibility is more on the government than the nurses. Meet the agreement. You have introduced at dead of night D-Levy, which is going to rake in millions as far as taxes are concerned. Find expression for it somewhere in the budget. You add it. The life of Ghanaian citizens cannot be taken for granted. We can't. We didn't. You introduced it. There
was a one page agenda we brought in. But let's not go in there.
Elvis knows. Elvis now sees from 2.
No, me, I'm clapping for you. I'm clapping for you because what you did in the history of this country. I said I'm clapping for you. You have been able to. Let me say, and I said this on my social media, but I'll state it here. The speed with which you implemented the D-Levy is the same speed with which you have to ensure these nurses, you meet their demands and help them get back into the hospital. Same speed. Same speed.
Politicians will always be politicians. And when they go about campaigning, the things they say, when they go back to their rooms, reality dawns on them. Reality has caught up with us now. We need to face the bull by the horn, grab the bull by the horns. What do we do in this position? Because lives are at stake.
That is, the lives are at stake. So anybody tell that fiscal measures, is the fiscal measure more important than people dying? Somebody say it to destabilize the economy. What are you talking about? How much money can buy somebody's life? And it's not something that others working for government are not enjoying. It's not like the nurses are asking for something that no government official worker is enjoying.
They are not asking for
They are
luxury.
just asking for what their counterparts elsewhere are enjoying. So you say they should sacrifice for fiscal stability once their counterparts elsewhere should be enjoying the same thing. How does this, if you were a nurse and someone made this argument to you, how will you respond? That your counterparts who work for other government institutions elsewhere are enjoying what you don't. And when you ask to enjoy the same, so you should sacrifice because we need fiscal stability. Then go and cancel the one for all the counterparts. Then we know that we are on the same level.
Yeah.
But if others are enjoying, I'm asking that I also deserve it. You are telling me that I should wait because of fiscal stability. It's not a sensible argument to make, excuse me to say. So those who are trying to make economic destabilization as a reason for not paying the nurses, I don't think that it makes any difference. If you were in the shoes of the nurses and somebody tells you that whilst your counterparts are enjoying the things you are asking for, ask for you, sacrifice, don't enjoy it so that the economy will be stable. How will you take it as a person? Sometimes when we are making some of these statements, we should put ourselves in the shoes of the people who are asking for these things. And ask ourselves that if I were a nurse and I know that the police get rent allowance, the soldiers get rent allowance, other public institution officials get rent allowance. I don't get rent allowance. I'm asking for rent allowance. And then somebody comes to tell me that because we want the economy to be stable, I should sacrifice, I should forget about getting rent allowance so that the economy will be stable. When we are all working for the same employer, how will you feel if somebody tells you that? That's why I said that the government communication, see, they are trying to appeal to people's emotions. It's typical of politicians. That is what they do. When they are under pressure, they want to play the victim. They want to appeal to people's emotions so that the public will rather back them against institutions. That is typical of every government. But I'm saying that it is not a sustainable thing. Because you see, let's say the nurses signed this thing under NPP and it was not implemented, for which they got angry and they voted against the government, expecting that a new government coming is the solution. And then you are now telling them because of fiscal stability, they should keep it on hold. You expect that nurse to vote for you in the next elections. So sometimes when we are talking about some of these things, let's not just say it because we want to appeal to people's emotions to back government against those who are asking for it. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of those who are asking and ask yourself, if I'm the one in the shoes of the person and somebody make this argument to me that others should enjoy, I should sacrifice so that the state will be stabilized, the economy will be stable, how will I take it? You see, this is the way I want us to look at some of this argument. I made it a point here last week that I see, until we go back to this thing that we have done in the past and correct it, we will have these problems anytime.
Very well.
The whole public sector worker went on capitated pension scheme. A government said, paying those lump sum for people retire is too much. So let's put everybody on SNIT. And then the politicians said, we will not be on SNIT, we will be on something called Article 71. As for the security we fear, they have been overthrowing the politicians who will keep them on cap 30. And then you now bring a complete confusion. And then the person who retires on SNIT goes home. A teacher teaches, the next works for 30 years, go and take home like 40,000, 50,000. And a soldier or policeman going home on retirement takes like 200,000 or 300,000 under cap 30. And you tell them, they all work for the same government. And you say that, oh, you are on SNIT, so it's okay, that's what you deserve. Those on cap 30, that's what they deserve. And you expect those on SNIT not to ask for more. Until we go back and correct this. And I think I read somewhere that the President Mahama has admitted that it's about time we revisit the issue of the entire salary structure and pensions. Until we do that, there's no way, because as I said, a policeman, if he's not in a barracks, get money for rent. A soldier, if he's not in a barracks, get money for rent. And the nurse does not get anything for rent. You understand it?
Besides saying that their job, they get little.
Hold on for me.
No, officially, if a policeman is not living in a barracks, it's not about side issues. Official condition of service for the security service, police and military, I know.
Once you're
if you're not in the barracks, you get official money for rent. It's part of their condition. And the nurse doesn't get it. And in asking for it, you say because we want the economy to be stable,
they should sacrifice.
They should sacrifice.
Let me take a break here. When I come back, we'll continue the conversation. This is Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze. Sekunjalo
Bold patterns, bolder women, celebrating the gift of womanhood. GTV, life styled.
Rise and shine, it's another day to stay on point. Toast is Friday, it's still on point. Watch is Friday all day long. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Watch is bread, it's still on point. For your bread, it's still creamy. On point. For your toast, it's still on point. It's yummy, delicious. It's still on point. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. Still on point, yes, it's still on point. It's still on point. For your toast, it's still on point. It's still on point. Fortune spread, it's yummy, delicious. It's still on point.
Fortune spread, delicious, creamy, and always on point. This advert is FDA approved.
Grateful that you stayed on with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. I'll take a few quick messages and then we can make some progress on the show. This one says, good morning, Nana. Regarding the nurses' strikes and the non-budget for it by government, can I ask a question? Okay, and the question is, was the sea defense war ravaging parts of the Volta included in the 2025 budget? Yet a contract was just awarded for the sea defense war. Was it in the budget? Wouldn't that also take the government off its budget? This is from Sam. This one says, good morning. I am a nurse who works at Doma East District Hospital, Wemfie. One of our nurses was sick and referred to CATH. We, the staff, had to contribute and pay for the cost of ambulance, 1,500 to the National Ambulance Service before she was sent to CATH. Why should this happen? I want to ask, if this happens to be a pandemic outbreak, would the government tell us that there is no space in its budget to look for extra money to control the pandemic? To me, I see a strike as a pandemic and it's taking lives. So what is the government doing about it? This is a someone from Adenta. This one says, good morning. I am D. Bella Jr. from Kaswa. I am enjoying the show and the issue of discussion. Elvis Darkmo has hit the nail right on the head. I was completely shocked when I heard the whole health minister approach the case, how he approached the case, and what is worse is the finance ministry saying their need is not in the budget. The government came into office with a strategy to blame the previous government for everything so that they find a way to cover up for their incompetence. They were given a code of conduct, but already we have seen some of them display arrogance of power. Anytime politicians are given power, they think that they are better than anyone in this country, and it ought not to be so. Government should treat this matter as an issue, or treat this issue as a matter of urgency. Good morning, Breakfast Daily. Elvis Dako is rather stoking the fires for partisan expediency. No one is saying that the nurses don't deserve what they are asking for. If they could wait for the past 8 months, why can't they bear with the new government for a while? Teachers also go through the same stress conditions, yet in 2024, the then government threatened to freeze the salaries of teachers if they didn't go back to work. I didn't hear Elvis talk with this passion. They shouldn't hide under the cloak of neutralism to advance partisan ambitions. Okay, that's Rex from Ashoman. This one says, I'm very happy for Elvis Dako. You are talking to the minds of all nurses in Ghana, and we appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Yusuf, a concerned nurse, speaking there. Elvis looked like this morning. Both the good and the bad are for you.
Maybe the person has not followed me.
Exactly.
The teachers strike the same point I made. I have made the point that if I'm a president, everybody's salary will be pegged from how much the teacher is paid. Because every one of us is built by the teacher, every human being. Right. In fact, children, we spend more time with our teachers than our parents. Our active hours in a day, we spend it with the teachers than our parents. So I am of the view that if I'm president, then I have the power. Salaries will be pegged at how much a teacher is paid for everybody in this country. So maybe the person has not followed me. Look, my GSS mathematics teacher is called John Dimo. He said he taught for 39 years. He was paid 32,000 cedis as retirement package by Senate.
They owe him 7,000. They were paying 1,000.
39 years of a teacher's life. So he went home with 32,000 cedis. So it means that for each year of teaching, because of the low salary, he didn't even make 1,000 cedis. For the lump sum, he didn't even make 1,000 cedis. For 39 years, he got 32,000. If you are in that situation, and there's the person asking for more, you go and tell my teacher that because teachers are on strike, he should come to the classroom, and you think with this pain in him, he will come.
Let's move on. 24-hour economy is coming. The president says July 1. He is going to activate the ports, Tema and Takrady, to begin 24-hour operations. This 24-hour economy, what exactly is it?
Okay, so a quick one before I come to that. I think Elvis made some very important points.
You have 5 minutes. You are using some of the 5 minutes.
No. Just spare me
Honorable.
a bit. You
will make a fantastic health minister. A fantastic one. If they haven't appointed a deputy health minister, he should be sent in.
No, Akando doesn't have a deputy.
Yes, please, he should help Akando.
Fantastic point. You know,
he should help Akando.
There is consensus on this table that the health workers are entitled to whatever it is that they are asking for. Right. Number 2, official government communication hasn't deviated from that position. That must be stated clearly and unambiguously. Now, he made a point that economic health can kill, but then the point is that if your economy is not stable, you can equally die. Look, during the DDEP where there was haircut, there were a lot of retired people who, in the process, they died. They couldn't get their stipends for their medication and all those ones. So a healthy economy is as good as a very reasonable remuneration for labor force or workforce. Okay, that point might be stated. And government from the very beginning is saying that let us all make some sacrifices. So as you notice, the president has cut down the size of government. Indeed, he says that there will be no ex gratia for his ministers at the turn of ENA. Then he cut down on what? Appointment, and he cut down on foreign scholarship, a whole lot in order to ensure that there is physical space to accommodate the very essential issues that we are talking about. Right. These nurses definitely will take good care of them because the service they render, you cannot discount it. Right. Now, back to 24-hour economy. You would have noticed, or you will notice that the government is methodically walking the talk we rendered on the campaign platform. And so, from fixing the economy to a Jumaura, launching national apprenticeship program, getting sustainable funding for school feeding, a whole lot.
All of which found expression in the budget.
Absolutely.
24-hour economy did not.
Absolutely. And so, what did we say we'll do? The reality is that the previous government did one district, one factory. What was the target? The government then was seeking to increase production and productivity, enhance productivity. The government then was seeking to use the same platform to create jobs. But I think somewhere along the line, they got a lot of processes wrong. And so it couldn't yield the kind of dividend and expectation that Ghanaians, were looking for. Now, then we came on the campaign trail and said we'll do certain things in order to drive the policy of 24-hour economy. That is making sure that we work all around the clock, because we have realized that there are certain key sectors of this economy where the usual conventional working hour of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. will not be ideal to drive the kind of productivity we are seeking to do. And so if you go to the port, especially, Passports Office, DVLA, a couple of offices, we all acknowledge that, look, these offices can be run on 24-hour basis. And so government felt that there was the need to do certain give and take processes. You let the private sector get the needed convenient environment in order to incentivize the process of producing these goods and services. And so President has sent a signal that by 1st July, this policy will be officially launched. And then we'll start with the Tema Port and Takoradi Port. Now, at the heart of the 24-hour economy is to ensure that whilst we produce internally, we enhance export trade. And so we are seeking to leverage on the long value chain within the agriculture subsector. If you go to production of horticultural crops, i.e., most importantly, the fruits, pawpaw, pineapple, mangoes, then you go into the chilies and other veggies and all this. I think these are areas that we can actually stem the process of production, increase productivity, then enhance our ability to export to the foreign market on record time. And then with the policy, then it means that we are going to cut down on post-harvest losses. And then with the 24-hour operation of the port, it means that the ports are ever ready to export. And then when you can export on record time, then it means that the value, the true value of these, crops also will be maintained in order that you get the best output for it. So precisely, that is what we are aiming at. The launch will be done in July. We seek to create more employable opportunities so that we add by adding value to the primary commodities that we produce as well. Through the value addition, more jobs will be created, right? Through the value addition, we seek to, retain most of the things that we export. Currently, how much we put into export also tends to ask for more dollar to be generated, so that we'll be able to.
So this will be a game changer.
Absolutely, a game changer, particularly in areas that we have comparative advantage. So that is about the 24-hour economy. In order that we stabilize the CD, continue to stabilize the CD, as we can see.
That's what the stabilization is important, because if it continues to gain strength against the dollar, it will affect the exports, which actually is the basis for this 24-hour economy.
Yes, of course. When you eat what you produce and you produce what you use, you don't now have the appetite to go and import. It is through the process of importation that you need the FX, foreign, currency in order to import. And so the 24-hour economy is not just seeking raw production of primary produce. It is value addition. We are going to embark on enhance value addition, so that when you add value to it, then there is no need for you to do the export market, that you think about, which of course you need more dollars and FS to do.
Very well. Because your 24-hour economy is coming, finally.
It's coming.
Yeah, July 1, according to President John Dramani Mahama.
The 24-hour economy is a textbook example of political deception. Yes. An empty promise, a big empty promise disguised as transformation.
You think so?
Yes, I believe so. Because if they believed in it, would have found it in the budget. All it is a slogan. That's what it is. When we championed one district, one factory, it found expression in the budget. When we said free SHS, it found expression in the budget. 24-hour economy, you can't preach 24-hour economy and not allocate resources to core sectors of the economy. So we are talking energy, we are talking health, transport, manufacturing.
Security.
Energy, afterthought, de-levy. It was an afterthought. Otherwise, in March, when Ato was forcing, he would have put it in a budget. Health. They dismissed any concerns as far as these negotiations are concerned. Here we are now with nurses on strike. So how do you preach a 24-hour economy when energy, health, manufacturing, you haven't laid out any plan for it, but you expect that magically everything will fall into place? It's you see, people will slowly awaken to the facts that they've been lied to and they've been taken for granted. As I said here, I say it's always difficult even highlighting the ills of this government because we just came off of an election with a very humiliating defeat as far as our expectations were concerned. So anything we say, it's like, oh, you just gave you opportunity, whatever. But when we are highlighting the problems, we are not taken seriously. I think that, and this is something they do, and I've heard people catching on slowly. They'll mention something, create a secretariat, say there's legislation backing it, delay the process, nothing happens, they move on to another thing. Ejumera, it's been 6 months. What's happening with Ejumera? What is happening? Women's World Bank, it's been launched, but what is happening? Those who know, know. Those who know, know.
Yes, of course.
Those who...
But I think everybody must know.
Exactly.
So
there's a national policy.
Also, I refusing not to know.
So 24-hour economy is not a strategy, it's a slogan. If we were to say a 24-hour economy, the 1D, 1F which we implemented is a clear indication of 24-hour economy.
And so
because
if this policy by John Mahama comes to fruition, then of course the 1D, 1F, and then of course the factories in there will run on a 24-hour basis. And so this is more jobs for the youth. This is growing the local economy.
As we speak, there are health facilities that run 3 shifts. They are not introducing anything. I'm saying that if indeed it is not a slogan, we would have seen allocations into at least 4 major areas: energy, health, manufacturing, as well as transport. We haven't seen anything to show that, oh, indeed, they are planning, there's a definite plan. There's a script, a political script of deception.
That's why they're asking you to pay 1 cedi more to keep the lights on.
They are asking us to pay 1 cedi, but that was they said they are using it to pay fuel. That's what they said. No, and then also saying that
to keep the lights on.
To keep the lights. Yes. Somebody kept the lights on for 8 years. Somebody kept the lights on for 8 years. Somebody treated nurses with respect. Someone preempted the needs of certain institutions and factored it, as Elvis was saying off air, factored it into the budget sometimes 2 years in advance. So we didn't see this all over civil unrest that's already rearing its head 6 months into someone's season 2. So this is no policy, it's a slogan. Miss Honorable Frank Ifriye knows this. He knows there's nothing called 24-hour economy. It's deception, NDC. The D, as far as this 24-hour economy is concerned, is deception. There's no plan.
Right.
Of course, if there was a plan, we would have seen expression in some of these key sectors. If you prioritize the 24-hour economy, you don't even let nurses go on strike.
Right. Oh no, Elvis, July 1, what's the expectation for this 24-hour economy?
Expectation in terms of what?
What are you expecting to see from July 1?
You see, a 24-hour economy is a function of demand and supply for products and services.
Right.
When demand is there, the people who are doing production will do more hours to meet the demand.
Exactly.
So a 24-hour economy, I've said, is not a government policy. Okay? Government can create the environment. But what is going to drive a 24-hour economy is about the private sector, which does the production. and if there's demand for their products, they will do even 7 to 8 hours. They don't mind. It's about demand and supply. Hospitals run 24 hours, right? Transport companies. The last time I went to Kumasi, I took VIP. I left here almost 11, and I got to Kumasi in the morning about 6 a.m. So transport companies, because why? The demand is there. Right. Okay. Right. My late father worked at GTP in Tema. They were running 24-hour economy, 8-hour shift. Because that time, if a woman doesn't have GTP in Ghana, you don't have an expensive cloth. Yeah. Okay. Today, GTP can't even, I'm not sure they can even run 8 hours. Because demand for their product is completely gone because we have allowed cheap substitutes from imports to kill their business. We have not paid attention to the cotton industry. That to provide the cotton for Japan textile to provide a grade baft, the raw materials that the textiles companies need to be able to do the cloth for us. So the textile, the cotton industry has collapsed. That's why Japan textile is struggling to survive. And if Japan textile is struggling to survive, who produces the grade baft, the main raw material for GTP, Akosombo textiles, and the rest? So 24-hour economy is, when we tout it as a government policy, if we are not careful, what we are going to say is to go and pack and increase the payroll of government. And at the end of the day, it will come and hurt all of us. As Honorable has said, we all want a stable economy. One of the things that makes it difficult for a stable economy is the compensation budget for Ghana. This year we are spending 290 billion per the budget. Out of that, 76.6 billion alone is going into compensations. The port, ships come and land at the port. They come and dock at the port at night. So there's a portion of the port that already works 24 hours. The security guards at the port, they work 24 hours. Yeah. Probably someone say, oh, maybe customs officials are not there in the night to process. Maybe that aspect is what officials are not there in the night to process. Maybe that aspect is what we want to make 24 hours. Of the port. But if you say it's going to be launched at the port, it sounds as if the entire port, no aspect of the port is 24 hours, and we are now introducing it. It's not true. Right. There are aspects of the port that are already working 24 hours. There are aspects of it that are not operating 24 hours. You are going to add 24 hours to the aspects that are not operating 24 hours. Let's say it. Let's be clear. Yeah. So that we don't go and create a situation where we say, this government is doing 24 hours, this is doing 24 hours, and we pack it with people that because 24 hours, they need more staff. And then at the end of the day, the productivity in those issues will be so low because when people go to work, even in the night, we have overstaffed the place that people go sit down, virtually do nothing, and they get paid. We should avoid that situation. Because already we all know that the public institutions, a lot of them, the number of staff they have, if you want to measure productivity, a lot of them, their productivity will not match what the private sector is doing. And that is why there's so much inefficiency in the public sector. So this 24-hour thing that we want to make it look like the government policy and the rest, if we are not careful, it will end up costing us something that should not cost us, depending upon the way we do it. So there has to be a proper study as to which aspect of the port that is not running 24 hours. If we are introducing 24 hours into that aspect of the port, looking at the human resource of customs, are they going to be able to run it effectively with the kind of staff they have now if we manage it? Or we just have to add a very small number of staff so that we don't use 24 hours as an excuse to say, oh, because we are doing 24, we are doubling the staff of customs at the port. And there becomes another inefficiency that will cost us on the payroll. Look, 24 hours economy, the gateway to 24-hour economy is 1D1F. 1D1F is the gateway to 24-hour economy. Because the private sector is the one that is drive 24-hour economy. If demand for production in this country is what will make 24-hour economy possible, it means that the private businesses need to be given the kind of incentives that will make sure that they function and function well, produce things at competitive prices. We create demand for their produce. So that if somebody is doing 8 hours, but now there's so much demand, it's the private company that's going to look at its overheads and look at its returns and say, okay, if we have this demand, looking at my overhead and my returns, if I increase the number of hours, I can still put it in my expenses and manage it. And it's the private sector that does production. Government doesn't do production. Government is policy. Government doesn't do production. It's private sector that does production. And we all agree and know that, as I said here the last time, the exports we are talking about right now, or productivity, this is very minimal.
Right.
Gold, oil, cocoa are about 80% of all the exports we boast about. There's high unemployment because there are no companies to employ the people. So your 24-hour economy want to introduce and make it a government policy. If there are no private companies that are thriving, where does the employment come from in the 24-hour economy? If we ought to fix 24-hour economy to work, what government has to do is to come out a policy sector by sector. If the textile industry has collapsed, what are the issues? Growing of cotton has collapsed. How do we revive cotton growth?
Sure.
If we are able to revive growth of cotton, how then does that fit into Japan textile now providing the grey bag before the textile industry can revive, all at competitive prices? That is what we need to do. If we are talking about a product, which companies are into that? For instance, government set up 300 million to do buy parts. The question is, if we have identified 3 or 4 companies in this country who are into that,
locally,
that produces parts, and we say, okay, maybe your capacity to produce now is this because there's no demand. Government now want to incentivize your demand by giving you the contract now to provide all the parts that government want to buy. And therefore, if your production is this, now you can do 24 hours because now government has given you a huge contract. That one, the money is already there. Those we are going to give it to are there. So government has now used public policy to give you demand. Then the company will say, oh, I used to do 8 hours, but now with the contract government has given me, with 8 hours, I cannot meet the demand. So now I have to increase demand. That's why I said that 24-hour economy, the gateway to that policy is 1D, 1F. How to get private sector businesses thriving.
Honorable, final take on 24-hour economy. It looks as though from all the commentary we are hearing from the government side, we are tying it to export. Are we there? Would we have that strength to export that much to drive the demand? I mean, already are we producing enough for local consumption and to export same?
Okay, so we are just seeking to emphasize where we have maximum
in a minute
comparative advantage. So you see, what Ivy said just is in tandem with what government is trying to do. If you look at it critically, we are trying to tie agriculture to export. Where do you export? You export through the harbors, mainly Tema and Takrali. Okay. Oftentimes, you look at it, you produce some of these perishable commodities like yam, the veggies, and the rest, and you do the production not in the city center. You do this at the district level, the hinterland. So, if you look at the length of time these commodities are transported on the regular road like this, sometimes yams. Trucks are ferrying yam from OT region, northern region, and the rest, and they are broken down. Instead of a day or two, they end up spending about 2 weeks on the road. This is about post-harvest losses. The president says that, for instance, the Volta Lake Transport Company will be brought on board so that we take advantage of the Volta Lake itself, so that you ferry these goods from the top early enough to that point to the harbors, so that you cut down on post-harvest losses. Then you enhance the quality of the export market. Okay, we've realized that we have a comparative advantage in agriculture, and you put your money where your mouth lies. And so the only thing we need to do, which is a low-hanging fruit, is to ensure that we support our farmers to produce more for the local consumption or the local market, and then to export as well.
Because you briefly wrap up on 24-hour economy for me.
I said it is political deception. It is a slogan. It didn't find expression in the budget because it was a slogan. It is as simple as a Yezu. Yes, equate the 24-hour economy to that.
Are you aware the free senior high and the one district, one factory, they were not in the budget?
Please, they found
they were not in the budget.
They were.
They were in the budget.
They were in the budget.
They were in the
budget.
You insist the
which part of the budget? No.
Thank you so much.
The point is that I see
30 seconds.
As I said,
30 seconds.
it talks about yam. The yam is produced by individuals, not government.
Right.
Okay. It's individual production.
But government can drive the demand.
Government policy is to make sure the multimodal transport
Government
system, the water transport comes in and make sure that transportation is done.
Hold on. A 24-hour economy. No.
But
Honorable,
you see,
you had your chance. You are all jumping into it. Time is
We've
up.
run out of time. Oh, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Honorable, thank you.
Hey, producer, I need to have my say.
The government projects.
Elvis, wait.
Thank you.
If
No,
they
I'm
did, I'm saying that if they believed in the policy, they wouldn't have sacked the thousands of people they did in the institution.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you, Akosia. Thank you, Elvis. Our time is up. This has been the News Review segment here on Breakfast Daily. Thank you so much for your time. But stay with us here on Channel 1 TV. Breakfast Daily continues after this.
Do you want a healthy smile?
Ready for a smile makeover? Hi, I'm Tanya from Bethel Dental Clinic, Ghana. Cosmetic dentistry services can enhance your smile's beauty and boost your confidence with a more attractive and radiant look. Whether you're interested in teeth whitening, veneers, or a complete smile transformation, an experienced dental team can help you achieve the smile of your dreams. The process begins with a consultation where we assess your oral health, discuss your specific concerns and goals to create a tailored treatment plan. While smile makeovers primarily focus on improving the appearance of the smile, they can also offer functional benefits such as better bite alignment, improved chewing ability, and enhanced overall health.
Healthy smile.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy, chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
In Accra, every year, we have about 18,000 people dying because of air pollution. So we are looking at how do you make sure the citizens of Accra are getting clean air.
It's imperative that we tackle air pollution. Central Accra is where a lot of burning takes place. The main source of pollution in Accra is poor waste collection practices. You have people burning their trash left and right. And then also vehicular emissions because of the dense traffic. The goal of the BECE initiative in Accra is to influence air quality planning policy decisions. We are deploying air quality sensors in schools, in bus terminals, in residential areas and market centers to generate hyperlocal air quality data in Accra.
Once we know locally what is happening, we are able to tailor-make decisions and plans and policies towards it. We believe at the end of the day, it's going to help us save a lot more lives.
Asilwela ukunqoba kuphela. Kepha silwela ukwakha isizwe esinohlonze. Sekunjalo.
This weekend on Footprints, we remember veteran broadcaster Mike Egan, reflecting on his remarkable journey in broadcasting from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to the BBC and the lasting legacy he leaves behind in Ghanaian media.
I take pride, again, if you permit me to go on top, please, to be the first person to introduce phonies in Ghana in 1972. Wow. During the Champions Reign. I started promoting CK Man. And and said a lot of nice things about his music, but did not do the same thing to Nana Ampadu. In fact, when I compared them, I said Nana Ampadu's music was repetitive. Not
so you must have caused the problem.
Well, maybe I did. One of the people I interviewed was the highlight, I would say, is Dr. Nfimamu.
Yeah.
He was then, I think, 75 when I interviewed him on my program.
Oh.
1, 2, 3. Well, welcome. Well, welcome. Well, welcome to the show. Pam, 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 parara.
Footprints shows every Friday at 7 p.m. with a repeat on Sunday at 4 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Calling all farmers, agribusinesses, and innovators, this is your chance to shine. Channel 1 TV invites you to exhibit at Agri Fair 2025, one of Ghana's largest agricultural exhibitions. From Friday 20th to Sunday the 22nd of June, the A4 Sutherland Children's Park in Accra will come alive with the very best from Ghana's agribusiness sector. Are you a farmer with fresh produce of any kind? Be it crops, livestock or poultry, fisheries or aquaculture, or you're a supplier of agro-inputs and processing machinery, this is your platform to connect with the world. Agri Fair 2025 is more than an exhibition. Showcase your fresh produce, share your expertise and experience, and grow your business. So, to all farmers with fresh produce, livestock or poultry, fisheries or aquaculture products, come, sell, network, and expand your business. Agri Fair 2025, where culture meets innovation. Register now to secure your spot. Call us on 0205 973 973. Come one, come all. Enjoy the freshest farm produce at unbeatable prices. And treat yourself to sizzling kebabs made from beef, mutton, pork, chicken, and more. Great taste, great value. Don't miss out. The Agri Fair 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by the Ghana Exim Bank, Legacy Crop Improvement Center, Development Bank Ghana, Agri Impact Limited, and the Horticulture Business Platform. Our technology partner is Farmerline.
And of course, we are always excited that you stay with us here on Channel 1 TV Breakfast Daily. Just gone by is Nana 24 and the team discussing issues that are happening in this country, the newspaper review and all that. We are taking over from now to 11 a.m. You would want to stay with us here because we have a lot for you. My name is Philip Ni Latte.
And my name is Chris Carter. Like Philip said, we're excited to be here with you this morning. Remember that you're part of the show, so feel free to send in your thoughts, your messages, and your questions, especially when it comes to any of the topics that we'll be, discussing that might interest you. Just send it via the WhatsApp number on the screen, and then we will get to read it out. If you're watching us on YouTube Live, just leave your comments right there on YouTube.
And I'm sure you're preparing for the Agri Fair 2025 because we keep asking you, because we have limited slot for farmers and for patrons. It's free. It's happening on the 20th to 22nd of June 2025. The first of its kind is the maiden edition at the Ifwa Sunderland Park, and between the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. It's a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. This is the opportunity we give you as our viewers and listeners. We bring the farmers closer to you so you would purchase from them without any middleman. So maybe you've been thinking of where to buy that tomatoes, where to buy that pepper from, where to buy that goat for, from preparing for Christmas in the month of December and other things you would want to keep poetry and all that, this is the opportunity we are giving to you out there as a listener or a viewer. So you'll be part of us on the day of the event, June 20 to 22nd, 2025. And for farmers, if you keep calling and calling and calling without making the payment, the final day, you wouldn't want to blame us for that, because we have limited slots for you. Call 0205-973-973 for more information on this, and ensure that you are part of this all-important event.
All right, and throughout the month of June, the Absa City Business Festival is on, and you do not want to miss any of the programs that we have lined up for the Absa City Business Festival. Like I already said, it's from the 1st of June to the 30th. And of course, under that, we have different programs and lineups for you that would be on TV and on radio, and even, you know, on other locations. So we have the On-Air Series 2 that will run throughout the month too, and today we are going to be talking about how technology is changing agri in Africa. And if you've realized, it's been all about the agriculture industry throughout this week. That means that we are actually looking at different industries throughout the month. So it starts at 9 a.m. on radio, and if you if you're not going to listen to it on radio, you can actually catch it live here today at 9 a.m.
So with that, not very soon we'll be playing it on TV, but also let's remind you of the Citi Business Forum, which will be happening today. It's actually happening today at 9:30 a.m. We are looking at the global tariffs dispute, navigating Ghana's recovery strategy, and make sure that you are part of it, because you'll be carrying it live on Channel 1 TV. But for now, though, Chris, I think we should bring our viewers the On-Air series for the Business Festival. If it's ready, we will bring it to you shortly. But with that, we are telling you that we have a lot for you in the month of June, so you should stay with us. Let's learn something important: how technology is changing agri in Africa. Well, Bernard Avile sits with his guests. Let's enjoy this.
Welcome to another edition of our On-Air series for the Citi Business Festival 2025, brought to you by Absa Bank, MTN, and Zonda Technology. Tonight, we're talking to a friend who's been championing the cause of smallholder farmers, using technology to give them information, access to finance, and also markets. He happens to also be the co-founder and CEO of Farmerline, and we'll be discussing the role of technology in agriculture today. Stay with us.
My name is Lydia Safwa. I'm from Safusco Ghana Limited. I'm the managing director for the company. I'll commend MasterCard Foundation and Absa Bank for the 10% loan for women-led businesses and agri-businesses, because this facility came in at the right time for Safusco. The facility helped us to get machinery for our detergent powder and other raw materials to help us come out with 3 products: that's the detergent powder, the African black soap, and the bleach. We're able to employ 15 youth in addition to our working force, and this has really helped boost our productivity and revenue as well. Annually, we organize the Global Hand Washing Day in schools within our vicinity. We hope to make sure that Safusco helps to combat diseases from the schools. We are trying to have volunteers within the school. Those volunteers will help make sure that the project is being sustained in the school.
Welcome back. So this is the On-Air series for the Citi Business Festival 2025. This week we're focused on agri and agribusiness. I'm ending the week talking to a man I admire so much. He's built a fantastic globally recognized company, Farmerline. He's a co-founder and CEO of this organization. And today is going to help me understand the role of technology in agriculture, how his company is helping farmers get access to information, finance, and also, more importantly, markets. He's currently out of the country lobbying for more support for agriculture in Africa. Aloysius Atta, thanks for joining us for today's edition of the On Air series. Hi, Aloysius.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Bernard. Really excited to be here to share.
No, I mean, from 2013, I must say you've built a phenomenal company that is breaking all records. Can you, in a minute and a half, tell me the vision you had for Farmerline and 12 years down the line, how that's going?
The vision is very simple. Vision and mission is very simple. We want to create lasting profit for farmers, and the way we approach that is leveraging digital tools and partnership. Partnership is very key. No one can do it all by themselves. So our model is using partnership and using digital tools to help farmers to make money. Making money is number one and the most important for me, because growing up in Volta region, I grew up with my auntie who was a farmer, and we would support on the weekend. And when you see many other farmers, making money has been what is priority to them. But when you look at what the industry does to support them, the industry is mostly trying to help them to just survive. And that's why Farmerline was founded. We have a very simple mission to leverage partnership and digital tools to help farmers to create wealth from their hard work.
Which means that you co-create the tools with the farmers. Since you use the word partnerships, talk me through that.
Yeah, like we truly listen, right, to the farmers. So let me give you two examples of two innovations that we built that we heard from the farmers. 2012, my partner and I, Emmanuel, when we built Farmerline, the first version was just an SMS application. Young coders, KNUST, were so passionate and proud of what we built 6 months in the lab. We finally went to the field and we showed farmers that, hey, this is this SMS app that we built. We're actually like quite arrogant about it. That, hey, it's gonna, when we presented to the extension officers, we said this was gonna take their job away. The feedback that we got from the farmers and then the extension officers were like, hey, look, a lot of people in Ghana can't speak their local language, but they cannot write it. So if your primary medium for communicating with farmers in Twi and all that is in writing, many people are still not going to be able to use it. That was harsh in the moment, but that led to what we call DALI AI right now. It speaks 27 African languages, AI that can communicate with anyone in their native language. At least today it speaks 27. That is one of our leading innovations right now, and it came from that feedback. Another innovation that came from farmers was just paying attention to how farmers work among themselves. They were lending to each other, giving money to each other based on knowledge that they have of each other and in each other's farm. So an example, Bernard, assuming you're a farmer, we live in the same village, let's say Ho, and you grow yam every year and then you sell 10 bags. And then you come to me to ask me for a loan, and the loan is worth 2 bags of yam. I make my credit decision based on the knowledge that Bernard next door sells yam every 10 bags. And I know your house, I know your parents, so I can give you money. So that was already happening in the community. We paid attention to that in 2016, and our current platform, Open Finance, that financial institutions are lending on top of, deploying over $40 million on top of, using alternative data. Not just collateral, but using intelligences from the farm, the yield data, climate data, and all those things, leveraging it. So those are just two examples of how we innovate at Farmerline by listening and building with farmers and for farmers.
When you started Farmerline, I know you were focused on smallholder farmers and subsistence farmers. Yeah. Now, of course, you deal with larger farmers and the smallholder farmers as well. But it will seem as if their basic problem is mechanization, right? So you move from subsistence tools to mechanization. So at what point does technology come into the farmers' problem solving, technologies that you've created? At what point do they need the kinds of things you are creating beyond the mechanization, which is the next level?
All types of farmers, whether small or commercial, in our view, need 3 things to succeed. The number 1 is access to the right information so they can grow food well. And number 2 is access to the right kind of capital. And I say the right kind of capital for a reason. It has to be timed to the risk that is in agriculture, but then also the growing season. Capital to get the mechanization, high quality seeds, and then access to market. So when people know how to grow, they get money to get their inputs, and then they grow their food, then they have to sell it to make their money. So all our innovations are around these 3 buckets. So we build tools that allows farmers to get access to information anytime, anywhere, on demand, in their natural language, in their native language. The problem that we are solving with that is that currently The number of people, extension officers on the ground actually train farmers is limited. And the resources to actually travel back and forth to deliver information is also not there. So what we do, that tool was built to complement what extension officers do. So if an extension officer goes to a village and trains a farmer, all the reminders and questions that farmers have after that training can be answered digitally, so that extension officers don't have to move to the community in order to answer those questions. So that's just one. And number two is also like around the financing, leveraging alternative data unlocks a lot of financing for people to actually get things like combined harvesters. Like in the places like northern Ghana, we are financing a bunch of farmers to get access to mechanization. And we do that in partnership with local financial institutions in the country who trust the work that we do with farmers, who trust the network of farmers that we've built, and they leverage our credit scoring to offer them financing. And then the final one, which is in access to market. Like when you grow all the food, you have to sell it. So we buy rice, maize, soybean, cashew. Some of them we export. If you're about to export, you need to comply with all the standards that the Europeans have around child labor, deforestation. We build a lot of tools to help companies to comply with those things cheaply, but then also at scale as well. So those are the roles that we play around agriculture across the value chain, end to end. Not alone, honestly, with partners, tracking companies, warehouse companies, even other agtech companies. We collaborate with them because to truly transform agriculture and put farmers on a path towards wealth creation, it is definitely a team sport. So anytime we build innovation, it's about how do we work with other people to get it to farmers with one singular focus, creating lasting profit and helping them make a lot of money.
So I understand the role of information as a need for farmers. I understand the role of finance and the role of markets. Some people talk about irrigation because a lot of farmers depend on rain-fed agriculture. Have you been thinking around tools to make it easier to do irrigation? I was interviewing the Irrigation Development Authority and I was told our irrigation is basically about less than 10% of our irrigation potential. Like the Volta Lake is massive, right? So how would technology help solve such a problem? Because if we have more water available all year round, we're certainly going to have more production.
Today we have what I call artificial seasons. And those artificial seasons are just because of rain. So in the north, planting is beginning now. Between now and September, northern people are planting. The people in the south has already planted between March and then they harvest in August. But if there's irrigation, all those dates go. You can plant from January to December. So that's the power of irrigation. Even if it's even more powerful and better for the environment if that irrigation is even solar. So the role that we play, what we focus on, we are aware of all these things. We know farmers need it. The fact is that all these things has been invented many, many years ago. Irrigation has been invented over 100 years ago, but it's not here. It's not widely adopted. Why? Two reasons. Distribution. So getting people to get into the country. We don't make them here. A lot of people have to import them. I know there are some startups that are trying to solve that right now, but largely it's still heavily imported. So we depend on other countries. If you depend on other countries, it means that the thing is not readily available. If it's not readily available, many people cannot actually access it. The second one is money to actually buy it. Especially if you want to go and do solar irrigation, it's very expensive. It requires a lot of money upfront. And that's why tools like open finance actually make sense. If we scale open finance into like a national agricultural credit bureau, a lot of financial institutions can leverage it to deploy money for more people to be able to afford irrigation. If a lot of people are able to afford irrigation, people who are importing into the country, companies like PumpTech and other companies that are working in this space, Sun Culture, Greeno in Ivory Coast, and all other great agtech companies, they can be able to bring a lot more into the country. With increased demand, they can supply more. Some even go to the extent of actually building factories in the country to actually make them, to get a cost down. When the cost comes down, more adoption. So for us, we already know about the impact. Is well documented everywhere else around the world, but two things must be solved for that to achieve scale, to get a lot of people to go into irrigation that allow them to farm all year round, grow all year round, and make more money. There must be enough distribution and production of the equipment in the country, and there should be the right kind of financing that understands the risk of agriculture and has solutions for it, so that more and more people can be able to afford it and use it, and hopefully make more money.
This is a special edition of your Honors series. We're discussing the role of technology in agriculture. My guest is really one of the blue chip companies, I should say, coming from this part of the world, doing great things in terms of technology as a tool for agriculture. Aloysius Atta is the co-founder and CEO of Farmerline. And I'll tell you some of the things they've done when we come back. He would also now tell us some of the help they would offer. They're partnering with us on the Agri Fair, which is happening in a few weeks' time. And he'll be telling us some of the tools they can deploy to help some of our farmers as we get ready for that big event. Stay with us.
She's coming. She's coming!
Oh, it's in.
Red Hour seatbelt!
Boss, let's go back.
Okay, here. Take this.
She's coming.
I know. Go to the pharmacy now.
She's coming! Oh. She's here.
Pay faster, pay safer, and pay easy with Momo app. Download now and pay with the QR code, merchant ID, and so much more.
Welcome back. This is the On-Air series for the Citi Business Festival. We're focused on agriculture this week, and this is our fourth in the series for the week. We're sponsored by Absa Bank, MTN, and Zonda Technology. My guest is the co-founder and CEO of Farmerline, a company that is doing all kinds of things. For example, their AI-powered regenerative farming tool, DALI AI, was recognized as one of the Time Magazine's best inventions of 2024. That is pretty serious. And Aloy's focus and his company essentially to do three things: provide information for farmers, help them get access to finance, and then give them access to markets. Now, Aloy, let's talk about markets for a bit. In our research before we decided to do the Agri Fair, we realized that the market problem is massive. Some farmers produce and they don't know where to sell. Sometimes they have a glut and egoists. And then they are not able to store enough to sell at high value when there's a scarcity. What is your conceptualization of the market's problem, and how does technology help solve it from your end?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. The market problem is really sad. Farmerline, we get about $200 million worth of orders every year. So there are buyers around the world. They are like, hey, we want to buy food. And they have money they want to buy. But the thing is that big buyers, they want to buy in bulk, and they will not compromise on quality. On the farmers front, a lot of people grow without actually know what people want to buy, what people actually buying. They don't know how much they want to buy for. They don't even understand the quality that is required. So a lot of people here, or agriculture, there's money in it, so they just start without having access, knowing what the market is demanding. So because of this gap, a lot of people are not able to sell their food. Not because there's no demand. There is a lot of demand. Another problem that exists is infrastructure. When farmers grow food in rural areas, they can do all even if they follow the best practices, if there's not enough storage facilities for them to store the food, like what Nkrumah started by building silos across the country, if there's not enough storage, there will still be market problem. And finally, roads. These are things that digital platform, no AI in the world can fix bad roads or build warehouses. So for us, we build digital tools, but there are limitations on that. What we specifically do around helping people with our digital platform is to start from the beginning. The first step is when we get all these orders from people who want to buy, we let our farmers know of the quantity that people want to buy and then the quality that is required. So they get a chance to work their way, work their way backwards. So they have the quality in mind. Then we leverage tools like DALI AI to offer information, customize information to them, give them weather forecasts based on where their farm is. All these things help them to also improve the quality. As they are growing throughout the season, we are able to track who is growing what and how much they are growing, and we can then plan. That allows us to plan the logistics around it. And for you to track demand, we use satellite information in some cases for food crops, for vegetables, cereals, and grains. You can use satellite data at 3-meter resolution, take pictures every day, and then tell how much the food is growing and then the yield that is happening. We also go the old school route by physically sending people to the farm to actually inspect what is happening. So it is a mix of both digital for tracking, digital for training farmers so that they can improve yield, digital for tracing the food when it's moving from places like Tamale all the way to Accra. At times, the driver will stop 3 days in some village that we don't know what they're doing. But with digital tools, you can tell that, okay, this guy is lying, he stopped here. So all those things help you to minimize risk. But the true levers that make changes when it comes to access to market is old school infrastructure. People need a place to store things, and people need good roads to move things. And no amount of digital or AI is going to solve that. And that's where collaboration with government and other institutions come in to ensure that we continue to work collaboratively towards one goal, which is to create profit for farmers. But all those infrastructure, whether digital and physical, must be in place, and they must work together in harmony.
Which means that in trying to solve the farmers' problems, you are having to transform from a technology company to even a logistics company. Because to do the kinds of things you do, you are doing agri extension, you are sending your farmers to help you are sending your extension officers or your technology assistants to help the farmers know how to use the tool. You are gathering information from them. You are giving them quality standards, but you're also ensuring that they are producing according to the specification. And then now you are having to even help bring or track the goods. So in a sense, your company is changing in relation to the needs of the sector that you serve, correct?
Yeah, we are evolving, but we're not changing the core of who we are.
Okay.
The core of who we are is that we will remain a technology business,
okay,
and we will be the operating system for the rural area, for people to learn, move things back and forth. The reason why we don't want to become a logistics company is that there are many other tracking companies who do this already. But with the right operating system, with the right digital platform, they are able to get for some of our partners who hold like about 100 trucks. They know the amount of business that will get from us every year, millions of business every year. So we build a platform, we put everyone together, we get financing and everything to move, and then we get people who are great at doing each of these things to come and do it. So we will remain a technology intelligence business that gives opportunity, that throws more light on risk that exists and offers solutions, but more importantly, doing it through partnerships. So we continue to remain true to who we are, which is a tech platform. But you're right, we are a tech platform that also brings more offline people to come in to make this work. Because in our part of the world, you need to collaborate. And you can't also do everything by yourself. For instance, we can't go and be the company that buys about 100 trucks and put it on our balance sheet, or the company that builds all the warehouses. Like that's just, that's just not the company that we want to be. So that's why we focus exclusively on building technology to throw more light on opportunities this for both farmers and partners, and then getting more partners to come and take advantage of it. And this is what we are very excited about when it comes to the Agri Fair, because the Agri Fair is bringing everyone together. Whether you're a farmer, whether you're a bank, you're agribusiness, a processor, like we work with all of them. So them, all of them coming together, and we bring in our technology. Hopefully, it's a match made in heaven. We're going to help Ghanaian farmers.
We'll come in a minute to what you do when the Agri Fair happens. But let's come back to information.
Yeah.
It seems to me as if a lot of farmers do what they do intuitively. They sense when they have to go and plant. They know what to do. How do you convince them to leave their intuition and say, let me listen to an AI tool telling me weather forecast or whatever is going to happen? It seems a bit far-fetched, because the way we conceptualize a typical smallholder farmer is somebody who's done this for many years and knows what to do. AI is at the extreme high end of technology, right? We're not even sure we understand where it's going. So you're basically bringing the future into one of the oldest professions. That's quite steep. How do you convince the farmers to even listen to you, and never mind listen to the AI chatbot telling them whatever it needs to tell them?
So you're right. First of all, farmers don't care about AI. They don't care about AI. They just want to get access to information. They want it when they want it. And you're right. A lot of them make decisions based on intuition. Like, so the way you win trust with farmers is you just do or show. So if you say it's gonna rain tomorrow, 11 o'clock, like it better rain tomorrow 11 o'clock. If it doesn't rain, we get a lot of calls from our helpline or people getting angry at us. So
Okay.
and we get it all the time when we get it wrong.
Okay.
So people know. And then the information that we give to farmers is not fresh information. Remember, we are complementing what in-person extension officers do.
Okay.
They've gone to train people in person. We take the curriculum and then we train the AI on the curriculum. And then the AI is then able to offer reminders. The AI just plays a role around answering questions. But a bulk of the work that we do digital is sending messages to farmers based on their cropping calendar. So if we know that you're supposed to be planting next week and you're growing maize and you're in northern Ghana, we know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So we give you information based on that. That information is mostly pre-recorded by humans. So when we send it out, people pick it up and listen. They can hear and understand. When they have questions, they can call and understand. They can call and ask questions. They have options of talking to humans, but they have options that talk to AI as well. I must admit the AI's level of speaking Chui and Evan Hausa is not, at a human proficiency yet. But we are getting there. We are planning by the end of the month. We get to the level where when you speak, you can't even tell that you're talking to like an AI. Today, when you speak to it, you can he's speaking like old Chui and old Ever that most people have forgotten. So we are now trying to get into like normal.
Biblical Ever.
Yes, biblical level, because a lot of that, so you already know. So there are limitations. There are limitations, but there are also big opportunities when we overcome those limitations. And opportunities are like, if we can imagine the amount of productivity that we can unlock, that no matter the language that you speak in Ghana, we have about 50 or so something like dialect. Where I speak in Mamkrusi, Ever, the different types of Ever, Bedouin, Ever, Anglo, Ever, you can call and speak and answer questions. Imagine the productivity that will be unlocked. Like if someone living in Qatar can get access to the full power of ChatGPT or the full power of the internet or Google, and information can be given to them in their language that they understand. For us, this will transform many things. Imagine if, like even going beyond agriculture, if the guy that is selling, when you're going to water, for example, people who put things by the roadside and just wait for someone to. Imagine if there's a tool that can let them know when people are going to come and when can actually buy. So they don't sit there all day. They just say like, okay, I know the peak selling hours. I'll just sit there for 2 hours and make my money. I go and do another business.
Wow.
This is what's happening in other parts of the world.
I'll be looking forward to seeing some of your tools in action during the fair proper. Talk to me about finance, though. You are not a bank, yet you are heavy on finance. How does your technology help crack the finance, which for many people is the biggest issue with Agric in these parts? Explain how your finance solution works.
The only additionality that our open finance solution, which is what we are calling our solution for financial institution work, is that the only additionality is giving them visibility around climate risk and growing risk.
Okay.
Banks are really, really good at analyzing if a person is going to default or not. Do you have the they can do all the financial diligence, in some cases even psychometry. They have their own credit scoring. So the differentiation is not about credit scoring. Everyone can build credit scoring. But we, for instance, we know where places in Ghana, not in Ghana, where there's going to be 50% less rain. And we know what happens if someone is growing rice there, there's 50% less rain. So if you're a bank and someone has come for a loan from you in northern Ghana, and you don't know there's going to be 50% less rain, they can have the high harvest. They will still default because maybe they didn't plan for irrigation. Maybe they didn't plan to have the combined harvester that will harvest well with dry land to avoid the rice from breaking. So then they couldn't sell. Right. So for us, that's the visibility that we bring. Beyond giving that visibility and building tools for people to like quantify the visibility, we also provide support throughout. Right. So we have people that will go to the farm and actually go monitor. It's still very important because there are instances where people wake up at dawn and then harvest their food before we get there. Right. So those things do happen. So people actually go in to physically check the thing to make sure it is there. And then finally, we having overview and control over the cash flow. Because we get over $200 million worth of orders every year, people want to buy already. So if those farmers sell to us, we then help the financial institutions with the platform to then offset, get back their money. So for us, like the main value add when we work with financial institutions is they bring the money, they deploy to our customers off balance sheet because they see the opportunity. We go to work and work very, very hard to make sure the farmers succeed, to make sure that the banks also get their money back. So that it's a win-win partnership for all.
All right.
Farmers grow more food, make more money, banks deploy more capital. We all grow our businesses together.
You make Agric sound so sexy. Lots of young people listening will wondering, wow, this is Agric and this guy is talking as if he's discussing spaceships. I mean, make your final pitch to young people about the sector, because we do know that it has potential in the value chain for many people, yet it's underfunded and possibly slandered as a high-risk sector with not any real technology going on there. You represent one of the poster companies making agric look good again. What's your pitch to young Ghanaians listening to you about the importance of agric and why they should get involved in the value chain?
There's money to be made, but do not ignore the risk. The risk do exist for a reason. But solutions also do exist. You know, behind every risk is big opportunity. And that's why we are launching a new platform called Just Farm this month. It's an app where all you need to have, everyone comes from a family that has access to some farmland somewhere. If you are a Ghanaian, I'm from Ho, my family has some farmland somewhere or have access to farmland. So everyone has that. So if you're a young person, you've been hearing every day, there is opportunity in agriculture, but the risks are too much. When we launch this Just Farm app, all you have to do is just go to justfarm.ai. Now you can currently go and join the waiting list. You can sign up. And when you sign up with that, when the app is live later in the month and you sign up, you just go to your village, select your village, select the land that is a farming land in your village. You can look at it all through your phone using satellite. And then when you select it, the AI tells you, and it is accurate. It tells you when you tested all this and check the science. The AI tells you the crops that you can grow there when you select it. At the end, when you select the area of the land that you own there, to tell you the steps that you need to take to grow, how much that is going to cost you, and then how much potential revenue that you can make. We know this because we have the cost data. Potential revenue, we also know what the market is offering. So truly, you just have all that information up front. And then if you really want to join Farmerline's network, then you sign up. Our team will get in touch and then take you through the KYC process and onboard you, where we co-finance with you. So you bring some money, we bring some money, we grow with you together, where you bring your farm managers, we bring our people onto the ground, and then we help grow the food. And when we grow the food, there's market also waiting. So this Just Farm app is something that is going to help people make a lot of money from agriculture. And all they have to do is to just farm with Farmerline.
This sounds very exciting, and Farmerline are going to be our technology partners for the Agri Fair, which is happening between the 20th and 22nd of the month of June. Aloysius is the co-founder and CEO of Farmerline, who's a great ambassador for technology and agriculture. Aloysius, thank you for talking to us. So that's all we have time for today's edition. Don't forget, the On-Air series is brought to you by Absa Bank, MTN, and Zonda Tech. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And I'm sure you enjoy that conversation between Bernard and his guests there on how technology is influencing in agriculture. But now we are going to give you more on the show. You're crossing over to Alisa Hotels in North Ridge to bring you the Citi Business Forum. The theme for the forum